Chapter 211, Lover's Trip. We are not far from 5,000 votes. 3 days ago, we boarded my very first ship, the Alexandria, and headed to Raven Rock, the main port in Solstheim. I woke up in my bed and pushed away the sheets. The ones beside me were two very naked, beautiful girls in deep sleep. Sigh. We overdid it last night again. We three spent all of our nighttime in hedonism. Alina and Julia both know very well how to party and seduce me. I'm kind of proud of them. My women are really the best. We were on my very first ship, the Alexandria. As one of the smallest ships in the company, she was put away from service as we got our 10th ship, but I wasn't really satisfied with that. This ship held great meaning to me as it was the very first property I owned after all. So, in order to not make this ship go out of service, I built a warehouse on the Chill Isle and made a workshop to build and develop ships for the company there. It was also a place for keeping the gunships away from the trading port to keep them away from the prying eyes and harmful hands. Anyway, this ship got upgraded to the max. Some of the best pieces of magical tech were all installed here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the first ship that moves without sails in this world. Yes, I did it. I managed to create a magical engine powered by soul gems, which is super simple in the design. Just a few elven metal wires that are conducive to magicka, and 2 large fans under the ship with telekinetic enchantment that would make them go in rounds. It was too simple to the point that I was afraid it would be figured out once it was seen, so all the hard work went on how to hide the engine. About the sails, we just reefed them and pulled up the not-so-important ones. With that, we can pretend to be sailing when actually we're going on magic. One day, this engine will be redesigned to work on a higher speed and will be implemented to all my ships. I dressed in my robe and a fur cloak ready to meet that chilly breeze of the morning. As I left the room, I headed directly to the deck of the ship. "What's up, Captain Ongium? What's up, Boss John?" My friend Ongium was sitting behind the ship's wheel on a large chair with a few levers and some compasses around him. "How do you like the new sailing mechanism?" I said as I joined him. "Are you kidding? This is like a toy. A child can sail this ship." "Glad you like it." We fist-pumped each other. "Ain't technology awesome?" "It sure is, boss." I was really happy with the result. This baby ship was like most advanced pieces of modern tech pumped up together and made a large piece of awesome. "It is a shame this ship has no magic cannons," Ongium said. "Shut up. This ship consumes 250 MP per kilometer. One shot of the cannon can consume the same amount. I had to charge the Black Star and some other Black Soul gems during the fight with those Thalmor to get us this energy we are working with." "Well, I'm not a mage, but I think you're doing a great job, boss. This ship can comfortably sail with only 2 or 3 people." "I know. Still, we need to solve the energy problem. Having such a resource like the magicka all around us and not employing it is sheer stupidity of this world. If the Dwemer were to stay until this age, I am not sure what cool toys they would have invented, Sai. How disappointing. I'm going to pretend I know how you feel and offer you some mead." "No thanks, I had my fill last night." "Oh, it was really noisy in your cabin." "What?" "I thought I activated the muffling rune. I mean the movement and all, we can tell." "Oh, don't worry about it. Wolfer and Jorna, me and Jvanka. The ship took a lot of shaking last night." "I see, wait. Jvanka? Jonald's daughter?" "Yeah, we're together. That's why she retired and didn't get employed in another place." "Man, good catch." We fist-pumped again. It seems this trip is only for couples. "Where is Wolf?" "Engine room." I took an apple and went to the engine room. There I found Wolfer staring at the engine. "What's wrong?" Wolfer looked at me and sighed. "This thing, you are a genius. I hate to break it to you, but this is nothing impressive. I just recreated something I saw before. Also, the Dwemer managed to create walking giant robots, and with some sort of artificial intelligence that can recognize allies and enemies, and that was thousands of years ago. Are you still hyped about this crappy engine now? But still, that baby of ours is moving on its own. Don't you feel proud of it? Wolfer loves babies." "Gross. I know we created the engine together, but to call it our baby..." "Wolfer." And here she comes. It seemed that Jorna is really pissed in the morning. Wolfer's face seemed to have come to a realization when he heard her voice. A second later, Jorna invaded the room with an angry look on her face. "Hey, cousin. Where is Wolf?" "Here he is. I knew I would find you here." I haven't seen this side of Jorna before, but as soon as she saw Wolf, she held him from the nape of his clothes and started dragging him. You sneak out from the bed to go and watch some lifeless machine moving around itself. You won't hear the end of this. "But those things roll, babe. They roll." I could hear their argument across the ship. Wolfer is obsessed with magical tech, just like me. Actually, I am the reason he's obsessed with it that much. Unlike Alina or Joel, who love combat, Wolfer is my chief engineer who understands me the best when I go on some research that is related to machinery. Anyway, best of luck with that angry Jorna. I closed the engine room's door and sat opposite to the machine, collecting notes about how to improve it in the future. After an hour or so, I gathered my notes and went back to the deck. There I could see Wolfer and Jorna sitting beside each other. He was patting her back and she was smiling. It seems that an airhead like him can take care of these matters too. I winked for him and returned to my cabin. There, my two beautiful ladies were still lazing around in bed. Alina was having a soft blindfold around her eyes to not accidentally harm Joel, and Joel was sleeping on Alina. "Why do I feel so turned on?" I asked Alina, who seemed to be fully awake. She smiled and kept stroking Joel's hair. I woke up to the voice of Jorna. "Wolf did it again?" "Yep, Wolf is being Wolf." Sigh. "I heard he used to be a quiet and shy lad until he met you." "You used to be a quiet and good girl until you met me," I said and pointed to the muffling runes around the room. "Alina forgets the world when we play together." "How can I argue with that?" To Alina's sudden laugh, Joel woke up. She moved up from Alina and opened her eyes. "First thing to see in the morning is Alina's boobs." "Yep, that's a good day," she said with a blissful face. "Happy that you are happy. Now get up." Alina pushed Joel away and sat up. I handed them a plate of bread and cheese with some juice and sat between them. "So, when will we reach Raven Rock?" Joel asked. "A day or two." "Damn, it should have taken 2 weeks with a normal ship," Alina exclaimed. "And now we're doing it in 5 days." Okay, you're awesome. Everyone knows that," she said, mocking my proud reply. "Still, how is that trip is going to increase our power? Now that you mention it, I would like to say that Solstheim is full of treasures, resources, and dangers. Our group will start a massive excavation in the island. The most important thing is to make ties with the Dunmare population in Raven Rock and build a trading post for our company there. It is all fine, but we never set foot in Raven Rock before. How do you know if they would accept our help?" "Simple. I have acquired some intel about Raven Rock and their economic problems, so there will be no short on how we assist them. Remember, the most important thing about doing business with complete strangers: solve their problems," the two girls said in unison. "I'm glad that you are fast learners. But what about our problems?" Joel asked. "Yes, you said we need to grow in strength really fast," Alina said. "I know. I've got a revelation from a trusted source on how to upgrade your strength. I'm going to distribute some tasks to you two. OnGM and Wolfer collect all the stuff that we need." "How long will it all take?" "A month." The conversation about the expedition continued, and we put a lot of plans to get the best rewards out of this trip. These are the things that are mostly about us and the company. What about you? How do you plan on getting stronger yourself?" Alina asked. "Well, as you know, I have a special training that is not perfect just yet, but I am improving it." "I know, that's so-called magica cultivation." "Exactly. Well, the sole reason I'm not sharing my method with you guys is because how dangerous it is on your bodies. You do remember that I had a case of astral damage a year ago?" "Yes, Master said to never do your cultivation thing because of that." "Well, as I halted this sort of training, I worked on how to improve it, and with some luck, I discover a strange kind of energy that flows in the fire garden back at the clan." "That red energy?" "Uncle said it is too harmful to weak bodies." "Well, not for me. When I visited Tel FYR with Nurina, Grandmaster Alf gave me a gift." I reached my hand to a chest beside the bed and took out a book. This book contains tons of valuable information about the astral body that contains the soul, which is the source of all energies in the human body, and also about the physical body, aka the mortal flesh, which is the unique instrument that can gather and hold all sort of energies, and last, but not least, the links between the astral and the physical bodies, which is known as the acupoints that channels all the energies from the outside world to the inside soul and the opposite. This book that I kept studying in secret long ago was revealed to my closest two people. Alina looked at the book as she understood every word I said. Joel didn't understand them all, but she had the basic knowledge around the theory. It's incredible. Alina touched the book and exclaimed, I know. Now back to the red energy in the fire garden. That energy is really harmful to weak people, but if used right, it will bring great power. Not sure I am following. I didn't reply and pointed to Alina's firekeeper mask. Remember, what was it enchanted with? A heartstone. Yes, I used a heartstone instead of soul gem. Now, do you remember what the heartstones are? Heartstones are molten rocks that lay next to the heart of shore for years. Alina said and paused to think about something. The heart of shore, or Lorcan, I remember that you said it is located in the Red Mountain, and it is the heart of a god. Could it be that some vestige of its power has seeped into these stones? Joel picked up faster than Alina. Correct. These stones contain a minuscule fraction of the power of an original spirit. This power is not merely magica. It also contains a strong life force or vitality, the equal power to magica, and what can balance it to not cause an astral damage. Alina and Julia realized what I want to say at last. So that's it. It is risky, but worth experimenting. Of course, I have taken precautions as always. Will you be able to reach the rank of an expert wizard if this succeeds? Why not? When was the last time you measured your magica? And how many spells does your spellbook hold now? Oh, let me check status. What? I will show you something really cool. Attributes. Vitality, 710. Magica, 1220. Magic. Mysticism. Novice, magica control, dispel magic, alarm, detection. Apprentice, magic mark, clairvoyance, silence, scan, soul trap, force bullet. Adept, self-empowering, soul fire, telekinesis, runic weapon. Expert, third eye, shock control, teleport, levitate. Alteration. Novice, muffle, candlelight, haste, lock/unlock. Apprentice, bind, featherlight, mage light, mage stereo. Adept, flashbang, transmute soul gems. Conjuration. Novice, banish/bound Deidre. Conjure familiar, raise undead. Apprentice, bound weapons/armors. Conjure Atronak, conjure undead. Adept, reform Atronax, conjure Dremora. Destruction. Novice, flames, sparks. Apprentice, firebolt, fire rune, lightning bolt, lightning rune, corpse explosion. Adept, fireball, fire cloak, chain lightning, lightning cloak. Expert, thunder cookie, fire claw, meteor. Illusion. Novice, calm, fear, night vision. Apprentice, fury, courage, far vision, sleep. Adept, blindness, heat vision, paralyze. Restoration. Novice, healing, steadfast ward, sun rays, circle of strength. Apprentice, absorb vitality, reflection ward, sun fire, sun rune, mystic wind. Adept, quadrant ward, holy smite, holy cloak, circle of moons. Powers. Racial, war cry, resist frost. Standing stone, shadow stone, hide in shadows, blur. Bloodline, fire main, titanborn, beast master, fireborn, resist flame. Blessing, blessing of kind. Fortify, Thursday blessing of Talos. Fortify, Thursday Thursday unrelenting force, clear skies. Aura whisper, fire breath, whirlwind sprint. Battle spirit arts, lightning aura, blue. Madness aura, green. Chapter 212. Manners mocketh man. We made to 5,000 votes. Can we make it to 8,000? Yes, we can. And we will. Vote and grade. Never stop voting. What is that? The girls jumped from their place. Of course, it is the first time they see it. I never showed my status screen to a soul. This, my ladies, is a newly developed way to tell one's power and mastered spells. They kept looking at the long list with wide eyes. The status screen can only be visible to me, but I can use alteration to make it visible to others. How accurate is it? Alina asked. Very. Can it show our powers too? Joel asked. Nope. It is kind of thing that I acquired with the help of a friend who I will introduce to later, but it can't be applied to anyone but me. Oh, I see. They seemed disappointed. Well, not if I manage to create a tool that can do something similar. As I said that, they both looked at me with sparkling eyes. Do it. All right. The two got closer and started reading my status together. Look at all these spells. I only mastered 15 spells, and damn. Joel was taken aback. Put that aside. You have 2 racial powers, 2 bloodline powers, star constellation powers, and 2 blessings from both Talos and Kine. I am working on Debella too. That's not the point. How do 2 divines favor you at the same time? I have never seen you praying. Alina said. Talos' blessing is because of this thing. I have been wearing it for 6 years. I pointed at the amulet of Talos around my neck. It was the same amulet that Hilda gave to Nurina 6 years ago when I discovered she is my real mother. Kine's blessing is because of the old man who taught me hunting. He is the main reason I consider Kine my favorite Eteida. This blessing was probably gained when I performed the pilgrim to High Hrothgar. I read all the stone tablets about Kine's gift to mortals, and my Thursday became stronger. Alina nodded. She too has Kine's blessing since birth. Blessings in reality are different than the game. In the game, the player can just visit any shrine and press E to gain the blessing. In reality, however, blessings are great signs and not something anyone can look down on. Kine and Kinerith may be the same Eteida, but 2 different aspects. The Nords see Kine as the warrior wife of Shor, goddess of the storm, mother of men and beasts. The Imperials see Kinerith as the sky goddess whose gift is healing. This is why Kine's blessing grant power, while Kinerith's blessing grants good health. Putting that aside, you already have 5 Thursday and 2 kinds of auras. Only the ones I mastered. Meaning, I trained on other kinds of auras and many word in the Thursday but I only mastered those. Amazing. That's true. The status screen is set to show the spells, aura, and dragon words I mastered and use a lot. If I set it to show everything else, then we're having a long list of incomplete shouts, the auras I don't use, and the spells under research. I'm not sure about the number up there, but I assume that the Magicka number works the same way as the Magicameter. Correct. Damn. You have more than 1,200 Magicka? This is insane. Last time I checked myself, I had around 400. Alina said. I have around 200. Joel said. If we combine ourselves together, we will barely reach half what he has. Alina said. This is crazy. Joel replied. They both looked at me as if I am some sort of a freak. Now you understand how cool the cultivation is. I said. Wait, that is because of the cultivation? I nodded. My technique is not refined at all. It has a lot of flaws, and it harmed me badly. As far as I know, I'm the only person in the world who uses Magicka that way. But there were studies on the acupoints before, so it meant that there is knowledge that can improve my technique. With this book in my hands, I'm going to create the best cultivation method that will not harm the user. What pros and cons does that cultivation have? For the pros, it can increase your power and enlarge your Magicka pool, improve your Magicka's quality as you can spend less Magicka to make better results. It can also extend your life. For the cons, I would say it is a very unusual path to follow, so all I know is that it may harm the astral body. There also may be something more dangerous, but I didn't come across anything of the sort yet. Regarding the cons, you already solved the known problem, but if it can really extend one's life, how did you find about that from the start? You're the same age as us? Well, as you may know, High Elves possess the largest Magicka pool of all races. Also, they live longer than any other race. While human mages rely on enchanting and potions to increase their magicka pool for a temporary period, they don't actually possess that much inner magicka. One last thing was the people of our clans. Both the Firemans and the Moonblades possess non-human ancestry that they kept for ages, which resulted that they are all born with more magicka and longer lifespans. I came to the realization that inner magicka is the key to live as long as elves. Take Old Man Talfdir, for example. The last thing I figured out was that he is more than 300 years old, and his inner magicka is as much as mine, of course. He is an inborn talent, but I can pretty much live as long as him by cultivating. Live as long as Talfdir. Alina and Joel jumped. Talfdir's age is one of the 7 wonders of our college. He is very old, and everyone is trying to figure out his age. He is a known figure across Tamriel, and his life experience and knowledge is at the realm of an archwizard, but he is rather a peaceful person who doesn't pursue strength. Well, I'm planning to live longer than Talfdir anyway, which means I'm not going to live that long life without my 2 beautiful girls at my side. You 2 will learn how to cultivate when it is safe enough. I held the 2 naked girls and hugged them left and right. Yes, I'm a greedy person, and I plan on spending the eternity with these 2 babes. After a lot of sweet words exchanged between the 3 of us, the 2 girls didn't spare me in the night and had a few rounds of lovemaking each. Their vitality was so strong that they really lasted better than before. Since the time we 3 started living together, there was never a dull moment. Going together on a ship and spending our lives together like that would be my dream retirement plan, but retiring is not the word we are after now. What we are after is work, and a lot of hard work too. This morning, our ship arrived at the port of Raven Rock, and Ongium took a boat to request entry to the port. But we were denied. That's one way to get on the wrong foot with Raven Rock. What is the reason? I asked. They refused to let us to the port because of the number of the troops we have. Ongium said. I looked around and understood the situation. I see. We may have brought too many troops. We have around 40 troopers and 10 mages, let alone the ship's crew. They were all armed and equipped. They said we can enter Raven Rock with only 2 boats, even if they were all men. Haha, I see. Raven Rock's governor seems to not want any trouble around his town. Bringing too many men into the town is not good news. 2 boats of men mean we either sacrifice the luggage we can transport by boats, or we send a decent number of people with their luggage on. Still, that was no problem for me. Before we take the boats, did you find a port? Yes, to the east outside Raven Rock. There's a platform for ships. We will drop anchor there. Good. Gather enough supplies for me, my family, Wolfer, Jorna, and 10 troopers. That much. Just do it. Ongium nodded and turned to the crew. You heard the boss. Do what he said. In around 5 minutes, everything was ready in front of me. I aimed my fist forward, and all those things got sucked into the Haven Ring. The men opened their eyes wide, but they didn't figure out what happened. It is magic, something not any mage can cast. I explained. The men started making understanding remarks with their faces. Anything I come up with and call it magic is believable for them. Okay, to the boats. Ongium, take the ship and wait for us outside the town. I will send you your assignments later. Understood, boss. The 2 groups got separated on the ship and the boats, and we started rowing to Raven Rock Town. The air was ashen brown, and its smell was that of a burned wood. It was a bit suffocating, but we covered our faces with normal covers. These were the ashes of the Red Mountain, the largest volcano in the continent. I kept looking at the east, gazing at that large mountain where a thick pillar of ash rose to the sky. Vardenfell could be seen all the way from here. It was large enough to be considered an independent country on its own, the home of the Dark Elves. In front of me, however, was Raven Rock, a colony built by the East Empire Company on the southern coast of Solstheim back in 3E427. Once a mining outpost, it is now Dark Elf Colony. A far cry from the prosperous mining town of the past, Raven Rock has become a mostly forgotten settlement due to the mines drying up and due to the waters being polluted from the ash coming out of the Red Mountain. The town has become something similar to Winterhold from 2 years ago, with fewer ruins and very few trading ships coming by to sell their supplies. Also, after the mass Dunmare migration in the early Fourth Era, it has taken on a heavy Dunmare influence in its governing and culture. House Reduran is an established presence, and their banners adorn the walls outside the town. As the boats approached the port, we saw the ashen walls that surrounded the town. The place seemed desolate and otherworldly in the first look, but I felt that I really was happy being here. Joel, we are outside the Empire in Skyrim. Solstheim is Morrowind land. I held Joel's hand, who was beside me. She smiled with one side and shook her head. It's alien to me. I have never seen such a strange land in my life. Skyrim is all I know. Of course, that would be her reply. Stupid me. Well, we can sightsee for a while before we start our important business, Alina said with a cheerful tone. We will. She was on my other side and looked really beautiful. Hillman, I hate this. Nefertiti, however, was super annoyed. I forced her to be in her human form and to wear human clothes. In addition to the alien land we are entering, she was clearly out of her comfort zone. Don't worry about it, and stop calling me Hillman. You will be Alina's sister, and you will call me John from now on, understood? She didn't reply and looked away. Okay, time to use it. I took off the Haven ring from my hands and transformed it into a cube, then into an amulet. Here, can you keep this for me? I put the Haven amulet around her neck. Nefertiti's eyes widened and kept looking at the amulet while holding it in her tiny hands. She then looked at me with innocent expressions and nodded. One thing I discovered about Nefertiti is how much she likes to keep stuff. You can give her anything to keep, and she will love you for life. I'm not sure where is this coming from, but she would treasure any responsibility I give her, which is not a cat thing at all. Still, I'm glad she feels happy about it. Now, we four are looking cool in our super expensive clothes. Alina, Jelinar, and Nefertiti wore custom dresses from Solitude and looked as beautiful as ever. Alina had a red dress, and Joel had a blue one. Both were made in the Cyrodiilic style. Nefertiti had a custom black dress, which fit her perfectly. I also wore a very expensive mage robe that gave off my title as an official mage from the College of Winterhold and had a big cloak over it. House Dare rules. As soon as we landed on the wooden dock, a dark elf man with an arrogant face and expensive clothes that reflected his age and status came towards us with some armored guards behind him. I don't recognize you, so I'll assume this is your first visit to Raven Rock, Outlander. State your intentions. Well, nobles, my name is John Dare, Chief Executive Officer of the Dare Dragon Trading Company in Winterhold, as well as its Thane. These are my fiancées Alina and Jelinar. This here is Nefertiti of House Dare, my brother Wolfer and his fiancée Bjorna. My intentions are to trade my goods, and also looking for a possibility to make a trading partnership with Morrowind's great house Reduran. Trading? This time? In Winterhold? Last time I heard of Winterhold was that it is a desolate land with only a college of a long history and ruins of a long history too. Haha, true. However, all that was until the last 2 years. The Dare Dragon Company has taken upon itself the mission of rebuilding Winterhold. I can say that you guys are having a rougher time here compared to Winterhold. Is that so? Well, it will remain to be seen. But you have picked one of the worst places in Morrowind to do trading. Still, suit yourself. Thank you. What are your goods? Cotton and wheat, mead, honey, leather, and furs from Skyrim. Rice and wine from Cyrodiil. The dark elf looked at me speechless. My company is that rich, and we kept a lot of good relations with the traders in Windhelm, Solitude, and Dawnstar. Actually, we are filthy rich compared to Raven Rock's government. Ahem, Sir John, is that how you are called? It is, Sir John, as the second counselor of Raven Rock. I, Adril Arano, welcome you, sir, to Raven Rock. That's one big change of attitude. Thank you, second counselor. Raven Rock has a lot to offer, from gemstones to different kinds of ores and alchemy ingredients that an esteemed mage such as yourself would be interested in. Please, this way. Unlike my wild attitude in Winterhold, I used manners and money to wow the second head of Raven Rock. After all, money makes the man, as well as good clothes, beautiful women, and a lot of armored men in the background. But the most important thing is manners. Manners mocketh man, bitches. Chapter 213, Into Raven Rock. We were led inside the town by the second counselor after we landed in the dock. Without turning around, we crossed the road under the watch of Raven Rock guards and climbed a long stairway on the other side of the road, then we're in front of the entrance of Raven Rock's temple. The architecture was unique and like nothing I have ever seen before. Most of the buildings looked similar to large beetles, but to my knowledge, they were larger from the inside as the larger part of the building was actually dug in the ground. Please, this way. A drill Orano led us to the side where there was a large round table under a shed with some seats. Before we start making business, I need to remind you that Raven Rock is sovereign territory of House Redoran. This is Morrowind, not Skyrim. While you're here, you will be expected to abide by our laws. Crystal clear. We sat under the shed on the platform that overlooked all the town. How do you find Raven Rock? Interesting, a lot of ash though. There were indeed mounds and mounds of ash everywhere. It was all swooped away, but its smell was everywhere. I am afraid that other than Raven Rock, Solstheim is a big pile of ash. Other than its town, Winterhold is a big pile of snow. Haha, then let's drink to that. A drill Orano picked up a strange container and poured its content in 2 goblets, then offered me one. A servant poured it for the rest of my family. Also, my guards were on the standby outside the building. In case if you're wondering, that is Sujima, a liqueur only Dunmer can brew. Yes, I'm very familiar with it. I received the goblet and thanked him. Nords drinks Sujima these days. Nope, it is my adoptive mother who drinks it. Sujima, Matza, Shine and Flynn, I grew up between these things. These were all dark elven liqueurs. That's strange. You adoptive mother, is she a Dunmer? Yes, she raised me in Riften before we moved to Winterhold. And you became a businessman right away. No, took me quite a while. This is my first attempt to venture with my company outside Skyrim. Raven Rock may not look appealing to many, but I have a good feeling about it. I hope your feelings are true. I really hope. Adril Orano seemed down. I know from the game that he is a stern but a good person. His job is making his life and marriage harder because of all the difficulties in Raven Rock, and here where my company comes in to solve problems and gain partnership. We kept socializing with Adril Orano until his wife Sindairai Orano joined us, and Alina started using her refined socializing skills with Raven Rock nobilities. It all was going according to the plan. Second counselor, here is the inventory I intend to sell. He kept looking at my inventory of goods and kept smiling. The problem in Raven Rock was obvious. They were short on money and had only 2 sources of goods, the East Empire Company and Morrowind's mainland. I simply brought then enough food to last the town for a month, with a very fair price too. We will secure the road from here to the secondary dock and send a few guards and servants to pick the goods. Sir John, thank you very much. He offered his hand for a shake and then handed me an official note with the prices agreed on. This trade earned me almost 6,000 gold coins. Raven Rock can't pay me back in coins for sure, which means I have to take a lot of goods on the way back too. Well, this is my goal from the beginning. The Dunmer population in Winterhold is growing steadily, and it would be nice to have some goods from their homeland. The demand for them will be epic. I heard you were having safety issues outside the walls of Raven Rock. This isn't exactly the city of Blacklight. We're on the frontier out here, and we've had more than a fair share of troubles. After all, we've been through together. I refuse to let Counselor Morvain down. Counselor Morvain is the head of Raven Rock. You must be pretty close to him. I've known the Counselor since we were both quite young. We rose the ranks in House Redoran together. When word arrived in Blacklight that the Counselor's father had passed, I was asked to sail to Raven Rock with him as his second. We fought quite a few battles together and saved each other's lives on more than one occasion. Our bond is our strength. Sound just like me and Wolfer. What is Blacklight? Wolfer asked. It's the capital of Morrowind, been that way ever since Mournhold was sacked by the Argonians. I don't visit there often anymore, but we still get the occasional supply ship and visitors from there. I heard about the war from my mother, but she didn't tell much about it. I said, yeah, it was dark times. The Argonians cut a bloody swath across most of the southern region of Morrowind. Nobody seems certain why it happened. An attempt at expansion, revenge for the enslavement of their people, or perhaps both. Whatever the case may be, thousands of Dunmer needlessly lost their lives, and many more were exiled from their homeland. The Dark Elves enslaved a lot of Argonians, Khajiit, and humans during the Golden Age of Morrowind. One of the reasons of the war between them and the Argonians. Even in Rift 10, Dark Elves and Argonians were not really that friendly to each other. After an hour of talking and socializing, we were led to one of the Dunmery manors in Raven Rock. This is an unoccupied place, but has all its furniture and got just cleaned. Please, make sure to enjoy your stay. Thank you, second counselor. Will there be any problems if I and my family decided to go and hunt outside the town? I see that you have brought many guards with you, but please consider that our land is different from Skyrim. I advise you to hire a guide. Noted. Adril Arano said his farewells and left. I headed back into the house, started looking around. John, the place is clear. No sign of anything suspicious. Joel came and reported to me. Good. I have decided the rooms and distributed the supplies. The guard will stay at the entrance and the hall. We 6 will occupy the 2 rooms downstairs. Alina and Nefertiti reported too. Everything was in the Haven amulet around Nefertiti's neck, and she can get things in and out of it. Perfect. After we settled down for a few minutes, I held a meeting with Alina, Jelinar, Nefertiti, Wulfur, and Jorna. This is a map to Solstheim. These red areas are old Nordic barrows with high importance. This place is Raven Rock Mine, which is a very important area of interest. The enemies in this land are mostly ash creatures like the ash spawns and the ash hoppers. We need to take everything step by step to put Raven Rock back on the map without alerting the East Empire Company. Why is that? Joel asked. I don't want them to fight us over Raven Rock, so we're going to be trade partners first, then start unearthing the treasures. The first phase is at those 2 locations, Kolbjorn Barrow and Fort Frostmoth. The old barrow will be our first treasure excavation site, and the fort is for reducing the threat of the ash spawns. Actually taking over the fort will solve some of Raven Rock's security problems and will make us trustworthy enough to establish a trading post. Sindairai, Arano told me, she will help us get a pass to port the ship in the docks, Shaddai Alina said. Refuse the request politely. We don't want to burn our connection for something worthless. Outside the town is much better. We can transfer our discoveries to the ship without worrying about the town guards. I will keep the valuables in the Haven Cube, but the rest will be put in the ship. All right, Wolf, you will go and tell Angium to take the men and patrol the land around their dock. We want the troopers to face the ash spawns and the other ash creatures. Make sure that our men get used to this alien place. We will join them too. I like the sound of it. There's that thing about a hidden clan here in Solstheim. Jorna said. Here. I was taken aback. Yes, they are called the Skull. Alina confirmed. Wait a minute. The Skull are a hidden clan? Both nodded at me, as if it is something natural. Strange. The Skull appeared in the game. I thought no hidden clan ever appeared in the game, and now they are telling me the Skull are a hidden clan. Actually, it makes sense. The hidden clans are Nords, check. Have their unique tradition and ancestry, check. Worship old Nordic gods, check. The Skull has the same rules that apply on the hidden clans. The Skull are an offshoot tribe of Nords living in a village in northeastern Solstheim. They are known as a trusting and hospitable people, welcoming strangers into their village without any suspicion. The Skull are descended from Nords who served the dragon cult on Solstheim and built tombs to honor the dragon priests who ruled over them. They get all that they need from the land around them and do not often accept coin and trade from travelers. How is the relationship between our clans and the Skull? I asked. Really friendly. Just tell them you're a fire main or a moonblade, and they will sink you with hospitality. Alina said. Let's visit them too. Chapter 214, Wulfur Loves Forks. Thanks for Tako Lord on. He gifted an ebony armor. Also, chapter is unedited for now. Just don't forget to vote and comment and rate and review and everything that makes me happy. Enjoy it, mortals. We decided our first phase of making bonds with Raven Rock, but we were really tired to the point that we decided to laze around during the first day in the town. I took a bed and surrendered myself to sleep for a few hours. When I woke up, I was told that the girls went out to the market. It was only me and Wolfer and some guards in the house now. Wolfer was setting in the hole, polishing his oversized hammer and armor. As I joined him, he greeted me in a good mood. "This place needs a TV. Come again. A TV we can watch sports on and drink Coke together one weekend. Did you see a dream from that past life of yours again and wanted for it to happen?" "Yep." He is right. I actually dream a lot of my past life. I don't know why I miss it for some reason. I had no girls, no money, no power, and wasn't this handsome. I struck it lucky when I got reincarnated, but still, my head keeps going back to the days. I guess I missed having no responsibilities. "Okay, let's go," I said. "Where to?" "To visit a friend. The girls were out, so we can have some boys' time together." We headed out in Raven Rock Town. The sun was setting, but the place was crowded. People were coming and going all over the place. When I say people, I meant dark elves. They are everywhere. Wolfer and I stood out with our appearance and Nordic clothing style. "Where are we heading?" "The market. Don't you want to see what kind of goods they sell and don't sell here?" "Technically, that's your job. Ma, just come with me." There were really a lot of things we saw for the first time in this place. Something like the ash yam, a tough and tuberous root that is widely used in Morrowind. After checking its inside closely, I decided that it can be considered a variation of the normal yams and sweet potatoes. There were also ash hopper meat. The ash hopper is a large insect that looks identical to the grasshoppers, except they are wild and dangerous for common people. Their bodies are so tough to the point that their remains can be made into chitin plates for creating armors. They can also be eaten like grasshoppers, except they are much larger, which make the process easier. There were also a lot of ingredients and gems that Solstheim was really famed with. What they all have in common was their source, which is the Red Mountain and its constant eruptions. It made the land of Solstheim made of volcanic ash, which is harmful and killed all the regular wildlife 200 years ago, but it gave a chance for these ingredients and mutated wildlife to grow in the southern half Solstheim. I said the southern half because the northern is a highland and kept the area behind it mostly intact. One could say that Solstheim combined both Morrowind's and Skyrim's properties in a unique and a magical way. Still, from what I noticed in the market was the lack of food and how expensive it is, unlike the gemstones and strange ores that were all over the place. This meant that we can export food to this place in exchange of dark elven commodities. The other thing that took my interest is the volcanic ash itself. It is a very good soil enricher. Once the minerals and ash are washed into the soil by rain or other natural processes, it mixes with the soil to create an andesol layer. This layer is highly rich in nutrients and is very good for agricultural use. The presence of lush forests on volcanic islands is often as a result of trees growing and flourishing in the phosphorus and nitrogen-rich andesol. Volcanic ash can also be used to create some chemicals like adhesives and medicinal creams. One other use is creating ceramics and some sorts of glass. Still, the most common use in the Dunmery lands and in Raven Rock, to be exact, is the Roman concrete, a material used in construction during the late Roman Republic, which is really durable and hardy. Its incorporation of volcanic ash prevented cracks from spreading. This sort of concrete could be seen all around Raven Rock. Actually, those beetle-like buildings are all made of concrete, and the famous wall around Raven Rock, which is called the Bulwark, an astonishing wall built with concrete blocks as a response to the relentless ash storms from the ever-erupting Red Mountain. The storms would leave behind deep dunes of ash that made life exceedingly difficult in Raven Rock. I decided to export a few sacks of the volcanic ash to analyze and create a better version of concrete that can be used in Winterhold. I am sure Master Alchemist Neurelian will be delighted with the idea, especially with the plan I have to rebuild some other parts in Winterhold. After luring Wolfer around with all the scientific talk about this and that, we arrived to where I planned to go from the start. Look who's there. It's old Glover. Who are? Wolfer. John. I stopped in front of Raven Rock's smithy shop. the place where I expected to find an old friend. Glover Mallory. Wolfer recognized Glover right away. Glover Mallory is Delvin's brother, a man I knew since my time in Riften. A member of the guild and a good friend too. How can that be? Why did you get this tall? Glover, who was in his blacksmith gear, while holding a hammer in his hand, threw what he was holding away and looked at me as if he saw a freak. Long story short, I got more awesome. No, you are the same, stinking John. Ignore him. It's nice to see you, old man. How come you are here? Wolfer pushed me aside and talked to Glover. Wolfer and Glover have a good relationship, so I was pushed aside right away. Long story. It is really nice to see you, boys. What brings you to Raven Rock? Trading. Trading? Yeah, our company is making business around Raven Rock now. Company? Business? I heard a rumor about some ship arriving from Skyrim. Can it be? A long story. Show us the mead, and I'll tell you everything. Wolfer said in a cheerful tone. Fine. Let me clean up, and I'll come with you right away. Glover closed the shop and put away his tools before coming and leading us to the largest tavern in Raven Rock, the Retching Netch Corner Club. As we sat in a table and ordered some ashfire mead, we started our reunion conversation. Glover arrived to Raven Rock a year and a half ago after he left Riften because of some personal reasons. He is a member of the Thieves Guild, but he chose to live a regular life as a blacksmith. His speciality was the bone mold armor, a kind of armor very popular in Morrowind that is created how its name suggests. A lot of bone meal and adhesive materials to mold the bone powder together and create light and durable plates of bone. We told him what happened in Winterhold and what we were up to. Wolfer tried to invite him to join us in Winterhold, but as expected, he didn't want to come to Skyrim again. But to think you managed to become a Thane and wealthy businessman in 2 years after leaving that sorry excuse of a city, you really hit it, lucky boy. No matter what words you say, you can't begin to describe how awesome I am. After all that time, you're the same fool you used to be. I shrugged my shoulders and arms with a proud face, confirming his claims. So, what brings you to Raven Rock for Real? You wouldn't come all this way to sell food to some poor dark elves. I looked at Wolfer and exchanged a nod. We are mainly after ore and minerals. One is a bit rare and hard to come by. I am listening. Stalrim. Glover raised his brows and nodded. He then sipped some mead and looked at me. You're serious about it. As serious as a heart attack. Do you even know where to find it, how to mine it, and how to forge it? Glover asked with a sly smile. He seemed to want a cut of whatever we are after. I was hoping a certain old friend can help us. If not, we can go ask around the Nords in the Northern Highlands. Well, you know your way around Solstheim already. Tell you what, I provide Wolfer here with a way to do so, and you give me a little share. Deal. Deal. Glover smiled and shook his head as he couldn't take advantage of me. We are friends, but the relationship about the Thieves Guild members is this complicated. There's no shame in fooling one another. It could be considered our way to have fun, but the word deal means deal. First, you guys need a special pickaxe. I am talking about a Nordic pickaxe enchanted with old magic. This one work. Wolfer took his personal pickaxe from his side and showed it to Glover. Is the notched pickaxe, the one I picked up to Wolfer from the throat of the world when I visited Parthernax. The notched pickaxe in the novel is not a regular one like the game. It's an overpowered ancient Nordic one because it is legendary. Oh, would look at that. Where did you get this beauty from? Found it next to a dragon lair. I said, dragons again? You never grow up? I shook my head. Sigh. This one will work well, but you need more if you want to mine a lot of Stalrim. Noted. Glover started explaining to Wolfer how to forge the Stalrim and where to find it after that. It was really a complicated process, but it seemed that the Stalrim can be grinded and molded together like the bone mold too. A really wonderful property that explains how an enchanted ice like the Stalrim can be used in a forge. While we were talking, Alina, Joel, Nefertiti, and Jorna came into the Retching Netch with Sindairi Arano and some other Dark Elven women. It seems they were socializing really well. They went right away into a special corner in the tavern for high-class guests without noticing us. Will you look at that? Where did all those ladies come from? Like many other men, Glover was attracted right away to the lady's appearance. Wolfer and I looked at each other and laughed. As we did that, we were spotted by Nefertiti, who saw me and ran to my direction right away. She silently came and sat on my lap. Glover was taken aback from the sudden action, but I nodded to the Alina that it's all okay and to keep doing what she was doing. This is Nefertiti, a family member of John's. Wolfer introduced her to Glover. The two tall girls over there are his two fiancées. The tallest one is my fiancée. Oh, I'll go bring more mead. Wolfer told the rest to Glover and went to the bar. Damn, what is going on in Skyrim? You are becoming rich and having women. I really did miss a lot. Yeah, the last couple of years were hectic, but fun. I bet your ass you had fun. If you didn't have fun with all that, I would have beaten your ass all around the place. The conversation continued until Wolfer returned. Where is the mead? I asked. Forget about it now. I found something really cool. Check this out. Some fool left a really nice challenge. In Wolfer's hand, I saw a fork and a piece of paper. Oh, that challenge, forget it. It's a prank made by some wizard. Glover reacted to Wolfer. Come on, Wolfer loves forks. Wolfer complained, but I reached my hand and took the paper and read its content. Dear person who happened upon this letter, is your lucky day. Nearby you will find the fork of horripilation. Oh, how I do love cutlery. But what is it, you must be asking? Well, horripilation is the standing of hairs on end due to cold, fear, or excitement. And excitement is indeed upon us, my friend. Take this fork and use it to kill 2 special bull netches in single combat. Each will yield an artifact, the Eye of Sierda and the branch of the Tree of Shades. Warriors of another age might find these familiar. Combine these together for a special surprise. If you're successful, you'll be rewarded quite handsomely with the Staff of Sheogorath. Handsome indeed. If not, well, I do love to watch a good fight. Yours truly, Lord Sheogorath. What the fuck? Chapter 215, A Fork for Your Thoughts. Sorry for the short chapter. This is just something I wrote hastily in the car while traveling. Also, I hate to break it for you guys, but Sheogorath does not appear in this part. In exchange, his Daedric quest in the future will be changed just like how I did with Vermina and Herson so far. The explanation is in the chapter. Enjoy, Redheart. I read the letter that is said to be from Sheogorath, and my brain just ceased from functioning. This simply can't be true. This shouldn't be true from the start. I didn't download that mod. In an attempt to understand what is going on here, I requested room in the Retching Netch Innkeeper to stay in alone for a while. I took Nefertiti, the fork, and the note with me, then started studying what I have. This was unbelievable. System, call the augur. Confirmed. What is it you want? Do you see what am I seeing? It seems you have come across something unexpected indeed. Oh, what do you mean unexpected? It shouldn't be here. You are mistaken. I find it natural and completely logical for you to find this here. What do you mean? Why don't you check this out? The augur viewed a screen for me. On a memory of mine was being displayed. In that memory, the past me was holding a tablet device and browsing through a web page. Do you understand now? I see. This is really unexpected, but logical. Still, things needed more confirming. Show me the other pages. More memories started popping up on more screens, and I started confirming things I never foresaw happening. After 17 years of my reincarnation, I discovered something new. These web pages I was viewing in my past life were about the mods that came from the Creation Club, that below-average modding community that was supported by the games company that added official mods to the game. I never downloaded a mod from that Creation Club, as its mods were all charged for with real money, and of course, the free mods in the Nexus were far better in quality and immersion. Remember to always support your favorite modders. But the thing I didn't take notice of was that these mods from the Creation Club are official. What it means is just like the DLC content. These mods are canon in the lore. The Raven Rock I am in right now existed in the lore by a DLC, which meant it should exist after my reincarnation. And so the Creation Club mods that I didn't download. Oh, bummer. The realization hit deep. I took my enchanted quill and a paper from the Haven amulet around Nefertiti's neck, who transformed into her cat form, and started copying these notes from the screen. I confirmed all the mods that are possible to exist and what they provide. Strangely, not every mod from the Creation Club existed in the lore at the official description and the unofficial wiki, so I started to include some mods and exclude the others based on the immersion and how possible they are. I'm adding only artifact mods from the Creation Club. Other mods like Sunder and Wraithguard or Divine Crusader set are really far-fetched in terms of lore. Artifacts, huh? These are really interesting. Never have I thought I would get my hands on them. These artifacts were in a sort easier to acquire than the other artifacts, mostly in the hands of other people and only needed to be liberated. The first artifact we come across is the Staff of Sheogorath. How to acquire it is simple. Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness and the most dangerous one to deal with in my opinion, has offered the staff as a reward for whoever hunts 2 bull netches with a fork, not just any fork, but the fork of horripilation. A very unreasonable demand by the most unreasonable Daedric Prince. Sheogorath himself is known to be the mad god whose motives and purpose are unknowable. In my opinion, they are unknowable because I am sure that Sheogorath himself is not sure about his motives. He is just a hot mess of a Daedric Prince with a lot of power and a ton of time to waste. Dealing with Sheogorath is dangerous. I would prefer to avoid him as much as possible because one minute he loves you as fuck and the other he is forcing you to make the choice of your life. Sheogorath once tricked Archmage Shalader, the one who founded Winterhold's College and the city. Shalader once built a safe haven on an island to all mages, but Sheogorath tricked him with a knowledge that is incomprehensible and traded it with the island, which was Shalader's greatest regret and what led him to lose everything. It was later recovered by the help of a senpai hero of mine called the Soulless One, Yeso player character, but that is a story I am not really familiar with. All in all, dealing with Sheogorath is dangerous, but the reward is really appealing this time. According to the notes I have, this bet with Sheogorath is not direct and not really harmful, and the staff itself is powerful. I opened the door of the room and asked Wulfur to come in. What is with you? You just went in and it is Sheogorath. The challenge is real, not some prank. Whoa, Wulfur's face turned pale. Are you sure? Yes. Wulfur had an unpleasant experience with the Daedric princes from the time he got trapped in Quagmire, so he wouldn't be really reacting well to this. He looked at the fork and seemed like a guy who was turned off from a naked girl. This fork is called the Fork of Horripilation. It is a cursed artifact created by the Daedric Prince Sheogorath. Really? Yes, he really loves it and refers to it affectionately as Forky, even though in appearance and in function, it is just a mundane iron fork. Legends say that in the hands of the right people, this fork could be a deadly weapon because of a mysterious enchantment on it. Sheogorath is fond of forcing mortals to use it as a weapon and doing challenges with it, kind of a thing for his amusement. I see. What does horripilation mean, by the way? It is the erection of hairs on the skin due to cold, fear, or excitement. But the reason why the fork is called with that name is unknown. So, is using it safe? I guess it is as long as you only use it as a weapon and don't infuse any magicka into it. It is pretty much just a fork. Wulfur started thinking in hesitation. He was really excited about the challenge, but it seemed he is now thinking about it. A fork for your thoughts. I put the fork in his hand and asked him. When I asked about the fork, they told me that some people tried to do the challenge before, but mostly failed and some were injured. In all cases, the fork magically returned to its place with the note and all. He said, "Natural. People think that a master wizard called Nelith who lives in the east of Solstheim is the one who made that prank." Nelith? I know him. Believe me, he is bored enough to do something like that, but that is not him. This is Sheogorath himself. Wulfur started thinking again, then finally gave up to the temptation. Damn it. I want to do this so bad, but I am afraid. John, what do you think? I think you shouldn't tell Bjorna if you're going to do it. Actually, the reward is a magical staff, so don't think too much of it. I don't want the staff, I want the fork. Oh, I see. Fine. If you do the challenge, I will come with you, and the staff will be mine. Okay, we shouldn't tell the girls. Sure, and we should get dead drunk, Wolfer said and turned around. I knew you were my best friend for a very good reason. At that time, we headed out to do something really foolish. Chapter 216, Put a Fork in It 1, Drunk. It is like this from now on, guys. Extra chapter means 5,000 votes. Vote, vote, vote. Two large humanoid shades were walking beside the southern beach of Solstheim. They were both staggering and singing with strange tones. Oh, there once was a fellow called Ragnar the Red who came crawling from. He was riding, bro. He was riding. Oh, yes. He was riding from. Where did he come from again? Don't know. Where are we again? Not sure. Never mind. Keep singing. Wah. But I don't know where we are. I don't know where Ragnar came from. And who is Ragnar? I don't know. Fine. Let's do it again. We are two adult men doing adult business in the middle of nowhere. No, that sounds wrong. We are two adult men doing non-adult business. Okay, I give up. You can sing. Wolfer started a sentence, but he didn't know where it will lead him, so he preferred to shut up. Finally, give me the mic. I don't have that. Okay, I'll sing to this. John took out the skull of corruption and aimed its head towards his mouth. Warning. The following is inspired by Skyrim misheard lyrics. It will change the way you sing Skyrim's main song forever. Play this https://youtube. b/csbcagrilji. T equals 24 to understand what have I done, and read the next part like Skyrim's song. Leia. Gotta pee will rock this party. For the night, for the food, for we are not drunk. Has Alina found out? We're not in our beds. Not me, or the peeps, or the guard will cry. Musical rumbling. Use a fork. Thank the Lord. Was it good? Oh my God. And the cheese, oh. A Bella. A boob. Was it Wolfer who stabbed my butt with a fork? Gotta pee will rock this party. For the night, for the food, for we are not drunk. Has Alina found out? We're not in our beds. Not me, or the peeps, or the guards will cry. Party. Rough. Party. Rough. Clap. Amazing. I like it. You, my friend, are Silvertongue. Wolfer said while staggering. Thank you, my lord. Where are we going again? Oh, to hunt that thing, strange thing, Netch. Oh, right, it's a Netch. Nope, you are wrong. It is a bull Netch. Really? What is the difference? I'll tell you. Netches are flying jellyfish. Right, bull Netches are big flying jellyfish. I see. How do we find them? Wolfer asked, and John started to think. There. John pointed at a direction, and lo and behold. That is a bull Netch. Wolfer asked. Growl. Don't offend it. See, it said, of course, I am a bull Netch. Oh, sorry. Growl. It said it's okay. Good, what do we do now? I do nothing. You kill it. Wah, but it's a polite Netch. It just forgave me. You are the one who wanted to take the challenge, not me. Oh, I have to kill a polite Netch now. Don't worry. Come here. I'll tell you a secret about Netches. What? Asterisk 10 minutes later. Star. Die, feminist. Die. Wolfer went all out and started chasing after the bull Netch with the fork of horripilation in his hand. John sat on a mound of ash and started watching the strange fight. He was drinking and cheering for Wolfer. Yeah, Stabbits, but that thing, yeah? Put a fork in it. Get a good beating. Netches are creatures that resemble airborne large jellyfish with a hard shell on the top, floating through the air, supported by internal sacs of magical gases. Although male bull Netch are larger than the females and possess the ability to defend against the aggressors, females usually keep a harem of several bulls and rule the herd during breeding seasons. Netches are often domesticated in Morrowind, mainly due to their hides making good quality leather, although the skin contains a toxin that renders the meat inedible. Wolfer was fighting one of those bull Netches fueled by the word John told him. He was on a holy endeavor to rid the words of the feminists. He was holding one of the Netch's tentacles and stabbing its organs with the fork. The fork was pretty much just a fork, and the Netch was a big animal, so it seemed to take a while. Wolfer managed to climb on the Netch, and it started moving around, wilding, trying to rid itself from the furious and relentless aggressors, until Wolfer managed to stab a vital point with the fork. Finally, then, the Netch lost its power and fell on the ground. John, I did it. Haha, I slew the feminist. Call me Wolfer the Feminist Slayer. In front of Wolfer, the Netch was on its shell upside down. Wolfer used the fork to open the Netch's soft guts and put his arm in. The inside was like a jelly, but Wolfer finally managed to grab something round and pulled it out. In his hand, he found an eyeball. John, I found it. John, where are you? Wolfer started looking around and couldn't spot John anywhere. Pat, pat, pat. He then heard the sound of something hitting the ground beside his feet. He looked down there and saw an arm coming from under the Netch's carcass. Oh, what are you doing down there? Wolfer pushed the Netch aside, and it rolled away down the mound. John was found lying on the ground where the Netch was. Look, John, I found the eyeball. John sat up as if he came from the dead with all the ash on him and looked at Wolfer's hand. Oh, the Eye of Sierda, that's one thing. He took it and started investigating. Wolf, yes, the eye, it is looking at us. Oh, that's right. Is it watching us? I don't know, but it's scaring me. How'd they get that eye out and kept it open in the first place? Good question. Maybe they took it while its owner was awake. Oh, must have hurt. Let's put away now. John stored the Eye of Sierda in his ring and stood up. How to find the next Netch then? Wolfer asked. We call for it. You know the Netch's name? No. John and Wolfer paused to think for a while. Found it. John came up with an idea. I will say Marco, and when the Netch hears us, it will say Polo. Why would the Netch say that? Because we are looking for it. If someone is calling you Marco, you should say Polo. It's a common sense, bro. Wolfer didn't seem to understand John's flawless logic. Have it your way. Fine. Marco. And nothing replied. Wolfer looked at John, expecting a new idea. Marco. Rumble, rumble. Oh. John and Wolfer looked at each other with two idiotic smiles. Call for it with me. Fine. Marco. Marco. Rumble, rumble. You hear that? Yes, it is working, but it is not exactly saying Polo. Don't mind it now. We found that slimy bastard. Where does its voice come from again? That way, I guess. John pointed to the south, towards the sea. Will we swim? Rumble. No, it is getting louder. Call for it again. Marco. 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 Rumble. All of a sudden, the southern sky above the red mountain was dyed in red with a thick pillar of smoke rising into the sky. A thundering rumble was heard, and the wind started changing its direction. The red mountain was erupting once again. It was not something strange, as it always does one time every 1 or 2 months. John and Wolfer saw a small volcanic eruption for the first time of their lives and fell to their knees speechless. The Lord has spoken. They both shouted at the same time and spread their hands up, then starting bowing and rising towards the red mountain. All hail the Lord. All hail. All hail. In their state of drunkenness, John and Wolfer failed to notice the changes around them. Following each eruption from the red mountain, a strong ash storm is always expected. The wind started to howl in the night, and the ash started rising and moving by it. John and Wolfer finally sensed the danger, but they were too far away from Raven Rock, and in this state of drunkenness, John can't use magic very well. I think Netch is not that way. Wolfer said, Yeah, let's go the other direction. Hey, wasn't that a sign from the Lord? Didn't he just speak? Nope, he was clearly farting. John and Wolfer turned around aware of the approaching ash storm. They were clearly legless and staggering all around the place, but they tried to reach behind a large boulder. As they reached the boulder and shielded themselves with it, they discovered that the ash storm was harder to deal with than expected. The weather got worse by the minute, and the two drunken boys started feeling the impact of the weather. It was truly the worst time for anyone to get as drunk as they are. To make things worse, The volcanic gases seemed to have started reacting with the clouds in the sky. Lightning shone and thunder followed, announcing the start of a real storm. "Oh, John, I guess we should go back." "Go back? Are you crazy? There is no going back in the Book of Dare. John Dare never goes back." "It started raining." "Raining? Oh, man, that's acid raining. We should go back." "Didn't you just say there is no going back? Acid rain will harm my beautiful skin. It is the only thing John Dare cares for. He is the most handsome man in the multiverse." "Then do something." "Don't worry, I got us covered. Take us into the cube." "Cube? Are you crazy? John Dare never goes B." Yeah. Just do what you have to do. Watch and learn, bro, watch and learn." John walked out of the cover of the boulder and faced the storm directly. If not for his large body, he would have got blown away. "Here I go. Lock Vakor." In an ancient and strong voice, the Thursday of John Dare echoed far and wide through the storm. The voice was heard across the southern region of Solstheim loud and clear. With this mighty shout, the air started to slow down, the clouds started to dissipate. The ash in the air all came to a halt and receded back to the grounds. In a few seconds, the sky was as normal as it was before the storm, but the land was messed up. The previous features of the land were clearly not the same as it was. One more missing thing was John. Wolfer looked around and couldn't see any trace of John. "John, where are you? Where did he? Oh, I can do that. Marco." Wolfer started going around and shouting, "Marco! Marco! Polo!" Muffled voice. To that reply, Wolfer turned around and saw a strange tree. To him, it looked like a tree, but these were John's legs sticking out from the ground. After a few seconds of analyzing the situation, Wolfer gained enlightenment and understood that these were John's legs. "I'm coming for you. Hold on, bro," Wolfer said and held John's legs, then pulled him out of the ash mound. Cough, cough. That was so dark down there. How did you get down there like that? "I was hit by a flying tree trunk." "Thanks, bro." Wolfer stood up and offered his hand for John, but John didn't respond. He kept pausing for a second and made an overwhelmed face. He then looked at Wolfer with a wide smile. "That's it. I have discovered it." "Discovered what?" "A way to solve a worldwide problem. How could the world be so blind? When I was in the ground just now, I tried to dig myself out, but I only went down. You see it now." "Oh, so that's why you were in the ground in the first place." "That's not the point. Imagine now if people buried all the dead upside down. It means that the undead can never come back up again. They will only keep digging down." "Oh, that's genius, bro. We are geniuses. We are smart. Yeah, now let's go kill that damn netch." Chapter 217, Put a Fork in It too. Found out. 5,000 vote. Extra will be yours. Sun shone upon to a sleep, semi-naked duo. They were John and Wolfer. Not sure what was happening or where they are, John opened his eyes to see a few figures around him. Oh no! He sobered up immediately and slapped Wolfer beside him. Ouch! Hey, watch it! Oh no! Wolfer saw the figures around them and turned pale. 3 girls, 1 cat, and 1 large bear are what caused John and Wolfer to realize that they were in trouble they didn't foresee. Wakey, wakey, sleepy heads, Joel said with a delighted smile. What's up, guys? John smiled, but he suddenly held his head. The hangover kicked hard once he tried to move, and his vision blurred. Wolfer was no better. As soon as he stood up, he turned behind a small rock and started throwing up. You had a big party last night, boys. Care to explain? Jorna asked. His idea. John pointed at Wolfer right away. Hey, Wolfer seemed upset. It was nice knowing you, John said with a cheeky smile. I advise you to worry about yourself more. I'll be the only one nagging him, but you have 3 upset ladies to deal with. Jorna said to John. John looked at Alina, Joel, and Nefertiti, who were smiling at him with bad intentions in mind. His face turned pale too. Okay, girls, we had our fun too. Let's not embarrass them more. Alina said as she gave up on messing around with John. Oh, come on. We can extort them for many things if we wanted to. Jorna was turned down. Yes, Alina, you're too soft on them. Joel too. What are you talking about? John asked. The girls laughed as they remembered what happened last night till this morning. Let me ask you something first. What is the last thing both of you remember? Joel asked. John and Wolfer looked at each other. It was when John stopped the ash storm with his voice. Now that I think of it, it sounded really heroic. Wolfer said, Oh, I remember that after we went to a pineapple-like rock, and it found a hole under it. John said, And what now? A fruit from Valenwood. Still, what exactly happened? Fine, I'll tell you. We two were sitting at the tavern, and Alina noticed that you guys started drinking a lot. That's when we figured out you were up to no good. We decided to stay sober and keep an eye on what you guys will do. Joel said, After that, John started to hide a lot of liquor bottles in his ring, and you two went out staggering. We thought the night would be over, but all the fun was actually just getting started. Alina said, Wait. You all were there? From the beginning. Wolfer and John asked. The girls looked at each other and laughed so hard. It was so much fun that I will write a song about it one day. Jorna said, Oh man, we are ruined. Wolfer held his head with his hands. Keep talking what happened afterward. As you two staggered your way out of Raven Rock, you two kept walking towards the beach while singing weird songs. Got to admit, though, the songs were fun. Jorna said, Oh, thank you. You two walked to a large netch, and Wolfer started killing it with a fork. Crazy it sounds, it got killed, and you got an eye out of it. It was then when the ash storm hit, and Alina was planning to come and save your asses, but then John shouted a very marvelous shout that stopped the storm like a charm. Joel said, After the storm, you two started drinking more, then delved deeper to the north. We didn't know what you are after, and Alina wanted to take you home, but you arrived at that weird-looking rock. The pineapple-like rock. Yes, that one. John was sure that there was an entrance to the inside of the rock, even though there was none. Once you two started looking around, you indeed found an entrance and crawled through it. We wanted to send a familiar after you to see what is going on, but screams started echoing from inside the rock. A few seconds later, you two came out with wide smiles on your faces and blood all over your hands. Jorna said, What did we do? John became horrified. I don't know, you said something like, I finally killed you, SpongeBob. Winnie the Pooh, you were next, and started laughing like a maniac. Alina said. John slapped his forehead. Oh shit, who did I kill? The girls looked at each other and smiled. The highest bounty bandit lord in Solstheim. Here, we collected the proof and the weapon. Jorna brought a bloody sack with what it seemed to be a head inside it. There was also a great sword lying beside it. Oh, thank goodness. John was happy he didn't commit a crime. Wolfer also killed a lot of bandits inside with that fork. It was truly a wonder who many bandits died fork wounds inside that rock. Good job, bro, John said. Wolfer nodded. What happened after that? He asked. You two went out and started drinking and crying. John started complaining about his past life over and over again. You then tried to cheer yourselves up and started singing again. What did we sing? Something that goes like Valhalla, Ula. Joel said, Oh, not that song. It is a masterpiece. Why did I sing it before finishing it? John seemed down. Sing what you wrote. Well, it's a song that I butchered, but it goes like, Valhalla, ulala. All of my heart is in Valhalla, ulala. I took my axe and went to battle, la la la. Okay, stop it, my head hurts. Wolfer said, Damn, such a fine butchered song. What happened next? You two found another bull netch, and things got really weird. You were originally climbing a rock, then jumped on top of the netch. Wolf tried to copy you, but he fell. You held his leg before he hit the ground, and the netch started running wild. Gotta say, though, you two were amazing. Such a large-bodied guy like Wolfer, and you managed to keep him hanged in one hand. Wolfer, too, managed to do some hanging setups training, and each time he would stab the netch's organs with the fork. It was truly an admirable show of drunkenness and brotherhood. Hanging setups? No wonder my body is killing me. Wolfer said. This is genius, though, John remarked. As the netch died and you took a branch from its guts, you two were submerged in slime and decided to swim in the nearest pond. It was a good opportunity for me to steal your clothes. Jelliner said, I see. So that's why we are at this state. Thank you. John seemed upset about it. It is not over yet, as our two adult gentlemen finished playing in the water and drank another keg of mead. You two were enough that we had to put a stop to it. Still, Jorna came up with the best prank ever. Alina said, I have a bad feeling about this. Wolfer said, she tied your hands to your backs and convinced you to catch your noses. Joel said, the girls looked at each other and started laughing hysterically when they remembered what happened. John and Wolfer felt like they got wrong, but there were more to come. Wolfer decided that if he ran into a tree, he would corner his nose. He ran into every tree around the forest like a boar. Some of them couldn't even endure his charge at them. John couldn't hold it and laughed so hard. Wolfer was upset and didn't look at him. Don't laugh. At least he had a good idea for catching his nose. You were a mess. Oh boy. You started spinning around on the ground, screaming, it's getting away, it's getting away. Bwahahaha. That's so fun. It was Wolfer's turn to laugh back at John. John didn't know where to hide his face, but it was already too late. The scandal was out, and to his closest people at that. Fine, we had enough fun for a day. Get up, you two. We made a camp nearby. Let's fix your hangover. The girls helped the boys up and headed to the camp they set up. Jorna was riding on her bear, and it scared her the other wild animals away, so it was relatively safe to camp here. John drank some hangover remedy and went into a clean set of clothes. He then took out an enchanting table from his ring and started putting components of the staff together. The eye of Sirda, the branch of the Tree of Shades, a few soul gems, and the note that from the message of Shiagarath. Once all were put together, John invoked his magicka into the enchanting table, and all of a sudden, a blinding green fire ate all the components on the table. Whoa! John was taken aback, but noticed the changes going on, and the fire died out right away. There was now only a staff, the staff of Shiagarath. Chapter 2:18, the first phase. 5,000 votes for my Farmer Blood Elixir. Extra chapter. The staff of Shiagarath. Some may confuse it with the iconic Wabbajack, but it is really different in both appearance and functionality. The staff of Shiagarath, a powerful Daedric artifact, is the symbol of the Daedric Prince of Madness. It contains the power of the Shivering Isles, and is needed to assume the title of Mad God and sit upon the throne of madness. The staff is the namesake of Shiagarath. In its traditional appearance, the staff is a simple walking stick with large thorns surrounding the eyeball on the top. The power of the staff is not that awesome, but it is still something to be feared. As was said, it is a walking cane with some large thorns surrounding the eyeball. That eyeball is very lively and is looking around left and right on its own. It is nothing unless it gets controlled by the wielder of the staff. As soon as you give it some magicka and command it to look at any being, this being can either be paralyzed or lose balance, depending on the will of the wielder. It can fare much better than a normal paralyzing spell, which is rather most likely to be resisted with a strong will from its victim. The normal functionality of the staff is still there, and it can still cast empowered spells from any kind, just like the Skull Corruption. With those two in hand, I can pretty much wreak as much havoc as a gunship like the Soaring Flame. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the staff of Shiagarath. I turned around with the staff in my hand and showed it to my little merry band. Sadly, no reaction. John, you always mess with the Daedric artifacts like it is nothing. You have a Savior's Hide, which you always go around with, the Skull of Corruption, which is both scary and awesome, the Black Star, and now this weird-looking staff of Shiagarath. Won't there be consequences to your actions regarding the Daedra? Alina said. She seemed to be worried about me. I smiled and couldn't reply. She is right. I deal with a lot of Daedric stuff. Any sane person would just take his fill with one experience. I know that I get excited when I get the things I used to have in the game, but this is not the game. This is clearly reality, and let's admit that not everything goes like how it was in the game I played. I see. I'll be more careful. I couldn't help but to hug Alina and kiss her forehead. She was harmed by the Daedra, and I really don't want her to live with the mask on forever. Sigh, how depressing. Also, when you get a lot of good stuff, don't forget to share. She said so in my embrace. Well, that is what all of today will be about. I replied. Everyone looked at me questionably. Well, I learned a number of artifacts that is somewhere in Solstheim. Remember that unearthing operation we are about to do? Well, we're going to get some good stuff from that place, so make sure to be ready in some ancient Nordic ruin delving. Ancient ruin? Jorna jumped up. Really? Wolfer also stood up with a smile on his face. Hee hee. Sorry I kept that away from you guys, but this is not some normal ruins we are about to go in, so make sure to be prepared anytime for a strong struggle against some undead. Yes, cousin, you are awesome. Rather than hoarding all the artifact for myself, I would give the ones that are not dangerous to my family here. Family is power, and it is best to keep everyone geared up. I'm not going to kill dragons alone, after all. We returned to Raven Rock after we packed up and found some guards patrolling ahead of the main gate. Sir John Dare and his company, am I right? An armored dark elf in bone mold gear approached us and inquired for me. I am John Dare. It's an honor to meet you. I am captain of the Reed Durian Guard here in Raven Rock. Oh, Captain Veleth, you have heard of me? Yes, I asked around about the good people of Raven Rock, and all talked about Captain Veleth as the hero around here. Oh, you flatter me a lot. Excuse me, but I need to ask about something. Eyewitnesses reported that Sir John and his people left Raven Rock yesterday at night, right before the ash storm strikes. Did you happen to know the reason why it stopped so suddenly? So they're investigating that. About that, John may have used a strong and ancient Nordic magic to stop the ash storm. Wolfer said. Captain Veleth looked at Wolfer with a funny look on his face. Didn't you hear the thundering voice that sounded with the end of the storm last night? It was John's voice calling away the storm. There was indeed such a voice last night, but is it really true? Captain Veleth asked. Let me demonstrate then, I said. He nodded, and all the guards around him looked at me with anticipation. I signaled to their ears so they should cover it. Con, with the power of the Thursdayum unleashed from within me, the effect of the word, I said, spread all around me, giving off a harmonious feeling. The Dark Elf guards were shocked, but as I always say, attach magic to anything, and it will make an absolute sense in this world. It is true. Azure is light. How did you do that? Captain Veleth seemed to be utterly impressed. It is the Nordic Thursdayum, a power few understand and less can wield. My cousin here is a genius in the Thursdayum. He will become a graybeard one day. Jorna was acting so proud and started ranting around with Nord this and Nord that. Okay, thanks. Basically, I spoke the name of the goddess Kine in the Thursdayum so I can demonstrate it without causing panic. Kine's name is used for soothing in the Thursdayum. Oh, I see. A religious power regarding the Nordic goddess of the storms. This is truly amazing. Thank you. If you'll excuse me, I will report this to the second counselor. Please, before you go, we would like to report about a bandit subjugation. I understand that this guy is a Reaver Lord. Wolfer took the bloody sack and grabbed the head inside it. You stopped the ash storm and subjugated Vandaldreth? I'm not sure what to say from now on. He is famous? Wolfer asked. Was. Wait a minute. Did you say his last name is Dreth? Like the Dunmery family Dreth? I asked. Oh, you know about them? Damn fools are causing a bad name for the Dunmare. Everyone's surnamed Dreth are either thieves or bandits, and they never die out. Captain Veleth said in a bad mood. Anyway, I must thank you for your great services to Raven Rock. Counselor Morvain will hear of those deeds. A reward will be paid out with the bounty. Thank you in advance. No, thank you. Also, that scum Vandaldreth used to carry an ancient Nordic artifact that he stole from House Reduran, a great sword called Stormfang. It is said that it was carried once by the Nerevarine when he helped a Nord hero to pass to the afterlife. The bounty paper said that the sword is for whoever slays Vandal, so it belongs to Sir John from now on. Captain Veleth said, Thank you very much. Have a nice day then. He turned around and left. I too turned around to my friends and took out Stormfang from my haven ring. Is the story true? Was it once held by the Nerevarine? It is indeed true. Once a Nord warrior called Ulfgar the Unending wanted to pass to Sovngarde and asked the Nerevarine for help. Ulfgar was slain, and his sword was claimed by the Nerevarine after that. This happened in the events of the Elder Scrolls III, Morrowind. I looked at the sword and felt its power. It had a strong enchantment of lightning within it. Its handle was longer than normal handles, its blade was a bit shorter, but it was a really good artifact. Its appearance from Morrowind, not Skyrim. This sword suits Bjorna the best. She rarely uses magic, and she loves big weapons. I handed the sword to Bjorna right away. As I said, my friends and family should get well equipped too. Thank you, cousin. I'll treasure it. I know you will. Wolfer, make sure to temper it and renew it for her. Sure, bro. What is next? Well, it's about time for us to start our real work here. Let's get going. We moved right away and went into our place in Raven Rock. We all got geared up and took all the weapons and the troopers with us, leaving only 2 to guard our place. On the way out of Raven Rock, we met Second Counselor Drill Arano, who was coming to see me with a big sack of coin as a reward for the subjugation and a thank you for handling the ash storm. With all the formalities said and done, we headed out of Raven Rock once again to where our ship was. Ongium was camping outside the ship, and there were a lot of carts loading down all the crates we had on the ship. These were the people of Raven Rock transporting the goods to the town. Captain Ongium, Boss John, Chief Wolfer, and ladies. We're done with most of the goods. Good. How are the men doing? As your commands were, we headed deep into the land a few times and started fighting and hunting the weird beasts in this land. Next, hounds, ashhoppers, burnt spriggans. I am not sure what is wrong with this land, but it is not peaceful at all. Well, we have our wolves, trolls, and bears to worry about in Skyrim. Yes, but these ash spawns are the worst. A lot of men couldn't handle their appearance, and some were burnt by them. It was really a mess to deal with them. Even our mages are all busy healing the wounded. As long as there is no grave injury, what is important is the experience and the courage they gain. I want you to treat them fairly and take some of the town every now and then. I heard there is a broth. Ahem. You know what I want to say? Ahem. I see. Now, bring some of the men that need more training and line them up for me. Take the other men and secure the excavation site I told you about. Hire some miners from Raven Rock and wait for my return. By your order, boss. Where are you heading then? Me? I will go to Fort Frostmoth just to the east of here. We need to secure that place too. Understood. Ongium turned around and started doing what I said. Fort Frostmoth. Well, this will be the beginning of the Frist phase. Chapter 219, Taking Fort Frostmoth. Sorry, we'll edit later. Remember to vote 5,000 stones for extra. Fort Frostmoth was the primary Imperial military base on the south coast of Solstheim in the Herstang Forest. It was established sometime in the Third Era, after the Imperial discovery of the island. The fort acted as the area office of the East Empire Company, established on Solstheim to mine the rich deposits of ebony from Raven Rock, and was also the main link to Vardenfell. During the eruption of the Red Mountain, the fort suffered a lot of damage and lost a lot of walls and towers. The ash storms piled up over each other and buried a large portion of it too, what led to the ruins with an army of ash spawns that we see now. Ash spawn are creatures found in the ashlands of Solstheim. They began to appear on the island after the massive eruptions of Red Mountain. Their spawning from the ash is caused by heart stones, which contains some trace of the heart of Lorcan's power and give life to bones found buried in the wastes. Okay, listen up. We are about to enter an area with a lot of those pesky ash spawns. Remember to always step on hard grounds and watch the areas with a lot of ash. Technically, the whole place is covered in ash, but try to feel the difference between the ash based on its heat. Now move out. With my orders, the 20-so troopers with formed a protection formation, the shield bearers on the outside, and the mages on the inside. Jellinar had some arbalists, crossbowmen, following her and started scouting the south of the fort towards the coast. There's an old dock with some ash spawns, a tower, and an entrance to the fort. Good, eliminate them. Jellinar gave the order, and the arbalist released their bolts. The sound of then bolts cutting the air sounded vividly, and all the ash spawns around the dock area were hunted down right away. Jelliner raised her crossbow and fired a bolt. The bolt traveled through the air and landed on a very far, small group of ash spawn. As the bolt was covered with a magical rune, it exploded right away, and a layer of frost was seen on the ash spawns, covering them all and causing them to freeze. Another 3 fast bolts broke them to pieces. Damn, girl, you become good at this. I couldn't help but to admire. Learn from the best. True, undoubtedly true. Okay, charge. The team started advancing forward to the pier, securing our back. Then we moved ahead towards the fort through a big entrance. I teleported Joel and Nefertiti on a tower, so they can act as our sniper and spotter. As we passed the gate of the rundown fort, we heard a voice I wasn't really expecting to be there. Men, invaders have entered the fort. Prepare yourself for an ambush. Fort Frostmoth will never fall. Long live the Empire. The troopers around me all looked at each other, not understanding what the situation is. The Empire had no presence in Solstheim since almost 2 centuries. What answered them was the sight of tens of ash spawns rising up from the ash all around the fort and looking at our direction. Steady, men. What we are up against are old, undead creatures from the time of the Empire on Solstheim. I beseech you to put these men to rest so they can find peace. With a stern voice, I announced the identity of what we are up against. Ash spawns are the bones of those who died in the ash and got affected by the power of the heart, so it is safe to say that they are undead in a sort, and the voice that spoke just now was General Falx Carius, a general of the Imperial Legion, was an Imperial posted to Fort Frostmoth sometime before 3E427 as a Knight Protector and Garrison Commander. He had numerous dealings with the Nerevarine during the latter's journeys on Solstheim. He died in 4E5, but was raised from the dead by a new necromancy technique. Clearing Fort Frostmoth and taking down General Flax is my ultimate goal in this expedition. Shields up. Mages fire. The fight started as the Dare Dragon troopers took a circle formation around the mages and the arbalists. Outside the encirclement, there was the team of 6 fighters taking down the horde of ash spawns like treating children. Jorna was excited to test the new greatsword in her hand. Stormfang was an incredible artifact created by Manish Hand, and Jorna was most pleased with its performance. Wolfer wasn't happy facing the ash creature, as the Fork of Horripilation wouldn't work on them. He took a mace and a shield from John's storage ring and started bashing the creatures around. He was covering for anyone who gets outnumbered. Nefertiti transformed into her beast form and used the shadow magic to her heart's content. She would sink into her own shadow, and it would creep so fast toward the target. She then would jump out of her shadow and strike the target. To deal with the ash creatures like the ash spawns, Nefertiti formed a mace head on the end of her tail. She would run past an ash spawn, and her tail would strike, turning it back to a dead ash. Jelliner lied prone on top of the broken tower and started shooting with her lever-action crossbow. Her shots were as fast as that of a rifle. She was counting how many she killed with a song. An ash spawn sneaked up behind her and was about to shoot his flame, but a burst of frost magic exploded, sending it away to pieces. As her fun was over, jumped down from the tower with a short sword and a small shield in hand. She started bashing and kicking the ash spawns to let out some steam. Alina was going around easily pushing any ash spawn that gets near her direction with wind magic. Her wind magic could be considered the nemesis of all elements, so the ash spawns that were based on the fire element were being broken easily by her hand. All these amazing warriors were having their cinematic movements done, and John was having his own little fun on his own. This is truly magical. Ash, bones, stones, and heart energy, what a beauty. He broke the arms and the legs of an ash spawn and started an immediate field research. The energy of the heart of Lorcan in these ash spawns was really attractive to him. He was very well aware of how many people tried to use the heart's energy many times before, while most has ended up in a miserable failure and lost the most precious of what they possessed. Some used the heart to ascent to godhood. Examples on those who were harmed by the heart's energy were countless, If one wanted to give a specific example, then one would just say the Dwemer race. The Dwemer, also known as dwarves or deep elves, were the most advanced race in the magical technology. They have surpassed any other mortals in the field and became one of the strongest, if not the strongest race during the First Era. This advanced race used magic like none other. They have scorned both the Edra and the Daedra princes, not seeing them as gods, but as rivals. This is how great the Dwemer was. However, when they tried to use the Heart of Lorcan to achieve ascendance for all their race, they all disappeared from existence with a poof. Their disappearance is the #1 mystery in the world, and the only lead is the Heart of Lorcan they try to use. An example for those who succeeded in using the Heart of Lorcan were the Tribunal, Vivek, Almalexia, and Sothasil. The three were Chimera, North Elves, a race of elves who later became the Dunmer, Dark Elves. After the disappearance of the Dwemer, they acquired some powerful artifacts called the Tools of Kagranak and used them to harness the heart's energy for them three and becoming gods, living immortal gods who walk and talk in the world of mortals. They build their own faith, and all the Chimera reverted to it, which caused them to become the Dunmer until the Tribunal fell from glory on the turn of the Fourth Era. This was how the Heart of Lorcan reshaped the world every time it was used or exploited. This heart is in the deepest of the Red Mountain, that volcano south to where John was standing. With a large eruption of the Red Mountain during the Red Year, 4 times 10 to the power of -5. These stones, called the Heart Stones, carrying a small portion of the heart's red energy, were now all across Solstheim. And even with such a tiny portion of energy compared to the original source, these Heartstones still possess the incredible power of the god responsible for the creation of the Mortal world, Lorcan. John kept examining the ash spawn and how lively and wild it was. They were controlled by not only the heart's energy, but with magicka. John met ash spawns before and could tell that the magicka inside them are different. Wild ash spawns have natural magicka, but these had used magicka, which meant they are controlled. Still, that is not a news for John. If that energy could be cultivated. A strange thought popped up in John's mind, and his eyes widened from the uncertainty he felt. What would happen if he used this energy? What would happen if he cultivated it? Will he be harmed, or will he become powerful? The Tribunal used the Tools of Kagranak to harvest that energy and become living gods, but it didn't end well for the Dwemer, who tried to do the same. The Tools of Kagranak? Mostly destroyed, but there was still one. John was uncertain of what he should do, but he had that discovery not too long ago. When he crafted Alina's crown, he enchanted it with a Heartstone instead of a normal soul gem, because Alina's eye energy were very wild, and only a wild energy can stop another. But what he found was not only Alina's eye power that was resonating with energy of the Heartstones, but also his own energy. Not only his magicka, life force or aura, but the Heartstone's red energy resonated with him to the point of harmony. It wasn't a good news for him by any mean. He was scared, and he came to Solstheim with the first goal in mind, and it is to confirm the theory on a being like the Ash Spawn. When his head could no longer understand how to deal with that energy, he punched the Ash Spawn, turning it to ash dust, and went away from it. Nefertiti 10, Alina 9, Jelinar 11, Wolfer 9, Jorna 8. John, however, is 1. Congratulations on coming at the last place. Jelinar mocked John's attitude as he only killed one ash spawn after he spent all the time in the fight researching. I'll make you chicken shawarma for your grand victory. John mocked back. Oh, thanks. I want it with tahini and pickles. Jelinar was relentless. John was regretting the fact that he recreated many dishes from his past life, but it was always nice to see a smile on his family's face. Anything for their smiles. Good job, everyone. Now to the fort. The main building of Fort Frostmoth was a large and sturdy one with very thick and powerful walls. As soon as the team went it, they were faced with ash spawns. John took the lead, started the fight with a strong chain lightning spell. The ash spawns were trying to respond with their flame magic, but John was completely taking down whatever they throw at him. The team behind him, who were mocking how lazy the boss became just now, got their memories refreshed on how mighty John can be when he goes all out with magic. He took almost half of the ash spawn waves on his own. On the way in, the team discovered a spider nest in some cave tunnel filled with albino spiders. Unlike Skyrim's giant frostbite spiders that could be as large as bears, these albino spiders were as small as cats. John recognized them and ordered that the living ones should be killed and the eggs should be all harvested. These were really precious materials that only he knew their real use. Look at all these beauties. I really want to adopt one. Jellinger felt sad killing these albino spiders that looked cute in her eyes. Soon, my dear. Very soon. John replied nonchalantly and kept pointing at the resources in the cave, which were the rare and precious ruby and emerald ores and all that. The team returned back to the fort following the fast paces of John, who obliterated everything in his way. Not until they reached the centermost room in the fort, the ash spawns stood on halt around the room, and a man was standing around them. Once he saw John and John saw him, John simply charged at him like lightning. This man was General Falx Carius, a formidable warrior and a champion in the Imperial Legion, but that was too many years ago. General Carius saw John charging at him, so he carried his large war hammer and waited for John's to strike, but John suddenly stopped and aimed his hand forward with a spell. It was telekinesis. John plucked out something from the chest of the general that looked like a glowing red round stone. Just like that, the general fell on the ground like a motionless corpse. How easy! John exclaimed and looked behind him at the dumbfounded team. Clear the place from the ash spawns. Loot everything with value. Wuffler, that man's hammer is yours, he said, and turned around to a table on the side. On it there were some notes and pieces of paper scattered everywhere. John quietly pulled out a chair from his ring and sat in front of these notes with the heartstone in hand. Sweet research time. Chapter 220 Breakthrough. What happened in Fort Frostmoth? This is an interesting story. In the notes and scattered journals I found, there is a certain necromancer who came here for the body of General Falx Carius. This necromancer wanted to resurrect the general by installing a heartstone into the body of the general, Tony Starkway. The heartstone indeed resurrected the general, but it made him paranoid, suspicious, and didn't listen to the necromancer. In the end, the general forced the necromancer out from the fort and started amassing ash spawns as soldiers. One of the unique powers that the resurrection with heartstones gives is the power to manipulate the bones and the ash, in other words, raising the ash spawns. I'm not sure how idiotic that necromancer was, but to control a being with such power, I am sure that having a superior amount of the same power is the main factor here. This is basic knowledge, as the thrall can't be stronger than the binder. This is why General Falx Carius contained a whole heartstone in his chest, while his ash spawn minions only had a spick of power from the same source. The necromancer here seemed to have tried to look to control the heart's energy with its regular magicka, an idiotic move that only an amateur about energies would commit. One need to converse their magicka into a heart energy to give an order to a being like General Falx, or use a tool with the power of the heart, like a heartstone. I remember that in the game, one can conjure a new being called Ashguardian, which is basically an Ash Atronak, but the only requirement to control it is to use a heartstone. All in all, to control a being with the power of the heart of Lorcan, one needs to contain a higher amount of heart energy in themselves, or use a tool with a higher amount of heart energy as well. Basic theory, but still amazing. The heart energy is a wild energy because it is alive and seeks freedom. If one can understand both the nature of the wild energy and that it has a personality, one may be able to flay, tame, converse, and harness it. People before used many reckless methods and godly tools like the tools of Kagranak, and here I'm going to use cultivation. The others used way to extract the energy with force, exploit it regarding its attitude, but the cultivation, as its name suggests, is slow and patient. It is the hard way, but clearly the sure one. Even though my personal cultivation technique was flawed greatly, I was handed a gift from heaven to enhance it through today's encounter. I stood up from the chair and turned around to General Fawkes's corpse. With the notes I just took and the tome of the acupoints in hand, I started doing a check on his body. I was amazed by how fresh his corpse was. This body was dead for a long time, but the heart stone restored its appearance to this shape. You may argue that this is a perfect resurrection, but I will stop you right here. General Fawkes turned into a psycho once he was resurrected. Even he was a psycho before it, and the body has no vital functions. So to say, the heart was replaced with a heart stone, so the body instantly became inactive for a real resurrection, if there is any. And the heart stone influenced the corpse the same way it influenced the ash spawns, and put back a creature suiting its new environment, which in that case was something close and looks to a human and possessed the same memories. The important point about the technique, that the core in that human is different, which makes it a different being than any zombie or incarnation. It is immoral and just wrong. Still, I benefited greatly. I followed the acupoints and the energy channels that had some residual heart energy and managed to get a clear drawing for these channels and the points they pass on. What will I call from now on the energy input-output channels, or the meridians like how they were mentioned in my past life fictions, are 12 energy channels that contain the residual heart energy and are used to transfer the magicka, the life force, and the spirit force in and out of the body. These channels pass through the acupoints, which number can reach 361. With all these information from the book and the body combined, I started drawing a new picture for the necessary acupoints I need to cultivate my magicka through. I don't know how many time passed, but I reached 64 acupoints that has the ability to circulate, restore, exert, and release the all kinds of energies in the soul. These were the acupoints that held the most important significance in cultivation. And now, for the moment of the truth. I dispelled all the magics I activated and depleted half of my magicka, then followed the drawing I made bit by bit and traced all the meridians and acupoints I'm going to use. Just like a child who was walking for the first time, I started memorizing each step and how to nod off balance while training. It was hard to define from where should I start, but with trial and error, I felt like it was easier in some certain points than the other. I picked the easiest acupoint and directed the magicka slowly towards it. Following the meridians, I reached the other, but I hardly got any harmonious response like the first. It felt like it was blocked, but I bypassed it to the next. It was hard. Losing focus was a big no-no. It felt like that it will all go away if I was interrupted. Oops. My thoughts started straying away. I had to go back to focus once again. Calm your heart and continue. It kept going. Most of the acupoints were hard to go through, and others were easy. It was like there were 22 points from 64 that could be accessed while the rest were blocked. It would be safe to assume that these are acupoints that need to be unlocked somehow. With that in mind, I decided to put all my focus on the second round and pass the energy right away through the blocked acupoints. Some of these meridians were hard to go through, and most of their acupoints were blacked, so I started to adjust the path once again and kept going through the second round till its end. The third, no adjustment was added, but the speed started to increase. The fourth was the same. The fifth was better. The sixth started giving me a feeling that I'm faster than I should be. If I lost control, then I may be like the car that crashed because it was fast at a sharp turn. I put more control on the speed and kept going once again. The seventh. I think I did this round with perfect speed and accuracy. The eighth. I may have got proud and lost focus. Damn, this is hard. The ninth, back to normal. The 10th, my body started sweating. After the 10th, many changes started to be visible. I was following the path of the meridians blindly, just now only got through it with best of my imagination, but I started to feel the new bath in my body as if I have grown some new organ and could see with it inside myself. I could even feel a new swirl of energy near to my abdomen that was rather strange, but it rhymed perfectly with my training. This is my magicka pool. Should I call it the elixir field? Nope, sounds otaku. Magicka pool is good. Ignoring all the weird ideas, I put all my heart into the training and decided to see how far can I go. Some time passed, and my body started heating up a bit. I could feel that the magicka I drained from myself before the training has all returned a long time ago in an instant. My body also started sweating like crazy. My inside, however, felt the cold sensation of healing right after I passed a certain threshold. I cut the training right away and opened eyes. The hell? Why do I feel like my body is getting healed? I'm not sure what happened, but I will make a full body check right away. System star. John, are you okay? Alina's voice interrupted what I was about to do. Yes, I am fine. Where is everyone? What do you mean fine? You kept your eyes shut for such a long time and sweated a ton. I am fine, really. You can check me yourself. She looked at me up and down and gave a sigh. What in the name of kind was that just now? She asked with a worried face. She even removed her eye mask and looked directly at me. What are you talking about? The training? Training? Didn't you feel what was going around you? She said and pointed at the floor. I followed where she pointed at and noticed a strange pattern of ash on the ground. It was like the ripple caused by a drop falling in water, and I was at its center. Each now and then, some force wave would come out of your body. You almost shocked me senseless. Force wave. I checked the ash patterns on the ground and detected 7 circles around me. Never felt a thing? How long did this all take? Damn it, John. You stayed motionless for almost 8 hours. Alina held her forehead and showed a tired expression. 8 hours? The hell? You didn't feel time at all. I thought 1 hour was all that I took. Damn. It took me a while to put my thoughts straight once again. Where are the others? Sigh. Some went to the pier of the fort. The ship arrived and Wolfer is healing the injured troopers. Joel went back to Raven Rock with Jorna to inform them that we stumbled upon a large number of ash spawns and started killing them, as you said. I see. I stood up and dusted myself off. However, I spaced out for a bit and started sensing the magicka once again. What's going on this time? Are you fine? Yes, I am feeling like, wait a minute. System, full body check. Condition, perfect. Good, no astral damage. Then status. States. Name, John Dare. Race, human Nord. States. Vitality, 716. Magicka, 1242. It increased. 8 hours of training boosted me up by 22 magicka points and 6 vitality points. All that with no astral damage. Crazy. This is getting exciting. I evoked my magicka on my palms once again and tested one last thing. In fast casting speed, I disappeared from where I stood and appeared on the other side across the room. The casting speed was perfect. Teleport is an expert-level spell, and I used it with some effort this morning. To use it with no effort just now only means. Since the time I left Rift Inn, I was an adept-level mage with a lot of magicka to spare, but now I can learn the new spells I have shelved all that time. I'm an expert mage. Chapter 2:21 to the Skull Village. The extra that was promised came amidst salt and smoke. Only smoke, though. Outside Fort Frostmoth, it was about sunset, and I was following Alina to where Wolfer and the rest were. What I didn't expect to see is some Re-Duran guards were here, too. We were taking permission to make our people camp in the area. Wolfer checked the 2 buildings in the fort and found it all good. The guard of House Re-Duran are only here to monitor us. Alina reported. Good. They can't let some group of outlanders stay in the fort next to the town, even if it's some old ruins now. You see value in that place. Yes, it has its own dock and is easy to defend. If we use the ash to make some Roman concrete and reinforce the fort and rebuild the walls, then this will be our trading post from now on. Once Raven Rock gets back on the map, the East Empire Company won't be able to make a comeback here. I said, I see. The position is indeed good and easy to defend. Still too early for us to get anything done that early. We need to ask for it right after the 3rd phase. You are the boss. Indeed I am. After a bit of inspection, I finally met with Wolfer. What do you think of the hammer? That was what I asked right when I saw him. Incredible, he said. And the enchantment. Awesome. What is that about? Alina asked. The hammer Wolfer acquired is the champion's cudgel. The hammer features imperial symbols on the sides of a very block-like head. Below that, there is a section of the handle wrapped in crimson cloth. About an inch down after that, there is a steel band, and the rest of the handle is wooden, with a steel pommel on the bottom. The head is shaped like a normal hammer, with a small crown of spikes on the top. The enchantment itself is called the Chaos Damage Enchantment. It can cause a chance for each element of fire, frost, and shock to do damage. The 3. Yes. Amazing. It has the same personality as Wolf. Alina said. Yes, I think so too. I agreed. Hey, what is that about? Wolfer seemed to feel like he was being ridiculed. For the blacksmith who can't decide which weapon that suits him and prefers an eating fork as a weapon, this enchantment is as chaotic as you are, bro. I broke it down to him. Wolfer seemed upset, but deep down he knew it was logical. This airhead is actually pretty good with weapons to the point that he can't decide what is the best weapon to use. I force him on the idea of warhammers, and he seems to have stabilized on it too. Is there a place I can rest around here? I asked. Go on the ship. We are staying the night in the fort. Manage the situation, then join us for dinner. I went back to the ship and asked for an empty cabin and a tub. Alina and Joel joined me later for a bath. I started discussing the matter regarding my cultivation with them. They were both interested and asked a lot of questions. What we reached here is a gray area that even Nurina can't teach us about. The risk is removed for now, and I don't really feel anything dangerous, so I will begin teaching you as soon as we get back to Winterhold. You may want to delay it for a bit. The raid on Japhet's Folly is supposed to be the core of your attention. Jeliner said. Oh, right. Then, after the raid, then. I still needed time to check how the acupoints and the meridians in their bodies look like. They are both females and Joel is a half-elf, so I need to understand the differences if there are any. I kept discussing with them most of the theories around the matter while washing each other, and they were really helpful. Alina's understanding of mysticism and Joel's sense to magic are really good. In the end, my mental exhaustion made my brain feel like dying. Come, have some rest. Alina pulled my head to her chest. I didn't resist and offered to let myself get pulled. Boob sandwich. Joel didn't let the chance go, and the other side of my face got some boobs too. What a heavenly sight. I couldn't help but praise and surrender to the heaven I found myself in. They kept like this for a while, but the girls were silent. I looked up there and understood why. You two need to stay away from Nurina and Faralda from now on. I separated the two girls from their ears, and they did willingly with cheeky smiles on their faces. Come on, John. We didn't do it last night. Yes, Wolfer took you, and even Jorna was upset. The two girls learned how to trigger me, and they started to act accordingly and put me under their charm. I frankly was in the mood since I saw them kiss each other. Okay, don't blame me for what is going to happen when you seduce me. I carried both girls on my arms and stepped out of the tub. With my newly acquired breakthrough, I activated the third eye and looked through the walls of the ship. It was much easier than any time I ever used it before, and it was not that hard at all. I looked at our cabin and teleported the three of us in an instant. Whoa, amazing. I intercast the teleportation spell and moved like that. The girls were easily impressed. I put them on the bed, and we started having sex with no holding back. 2 hours passed, and I was finally done. The girls were sleeping on the bed with all kinds of pleasure fluids all around the place. I warned you guys, I said and lied between them. Alina climbed on my chest and looked at me in the eye. You really show no mercy when you get horny, she remarked. Your first time? Jeliner asked her. Alina nodded. Yes, you always told me about how messy it can get. Sorry about it. I smiled wryly. If not for Elishka, when he gets like that, I may have lost my mind from the pleasure. Joel said, Elishka, huh? You sure have a lot of girls here and they're Mr. Boss. Alina said as she got on top of me and pressed her nails on my chest. I hope it doesn't cause you annoyance. Not at all. I'm not some idiot girl who gets jealous over a man. As the most beautiful girl in Skyrim, or maybe Allnern, I don't have anyone to be jealous of. There's only one lady boss, and that is me. Alina said and played with her hair. Okay, okay. You are the lady boss. I was a bit worried if things will turn into drama, but gladly it didn't. I don't hide my outside affairs from them at all. They actually know about every girl I slept with other than them. I don't like to do so unless necessary, like Alishka, whose relationship with me is actually special to me, or someone like Vittoria, who needs to be kept as my little bitch in the East Empire Company. I actually limited all my relationship to Alina and Joel, as they're my family that needs my full attention. I know their sexual preferences, and I always pleasure them to the best of my ability. Alina may like it sensual, but she always someone who likes to be kissed and hear nice words during sex, while Joel is cowgirl who loves to be on top every time. I find it disturbing that little John got too wild for the girls to handle. I am thinking of making some new way of sex magic using the new cultivation technique, but I have no idea how that would ever work. I heard stories about it from my past life, but I'm not even aware of what the basics are. I guess I will research more, but later. Back to the present, I took the girls once again to the tub and started cleaning once again. This time we finished quickly and went to bed. Next morning, I woke up late, which is rare, but I still got up and went outside to the deck. Morning, boss. Morning, Captain Angium. How was the work on the excavation site? We just got started this morning. The workers are a bit lax, but still manageable. Good work. I'll bring the gang and come to see how things are going. The excavation in Coldjorn Barrow is important and needed a lot of hands to be done. With the request of mining resources in the area got granted from Raven Rock, we shouldn't be wasting any time. After breakfast, I took Nefertiti, Alina, Joel, Wolfer, and Jorna to Coldjorn Barrow that was buried under ashes and started observing the work. An hour passed, and we started to think of something to pass time with. Should we visit the stones of the Allmaker? It would be fun to go there. Jorna asked. I would say we go to the Skull Village. I said, you want to go there? We need some miners for the Stalrum after all. The Skull know the mountains like the back of their hands. This was my plan to get closer to the Skull. Hiring some of them to mine Stalrum won't go against their rules or traditions. These people are well connected to the land of Solstheim and to their god, the Allmaker. The Allmaker is an interesting deity. Unlike the pantheons of other cultures across Tamriel, the Allmaker is the sole deity in the faith of the Skull, giving the faith a unique monotheistic quality. I like the idea of the Allmaker as it carries the same principles on how I view what God should be, a sole almighty deity. For the Skull, the Allmaker is the source of all life and creation. When a creature dies, its spirit returns to the Allmaker, who shapes it into something new and returns it to Mundus. The concept of death as an ending to life is unknown to the Skull. Rather, death is seen as simply the beginning of the next stage of an endless journey. The Skull believe in a metaphysical being called the Adversary who is always watching, and that he delights in tormenting the Allmaker and his chosen people. He will steal away the gifts of the Skull, unless they can go on a pilgrimage to keep the gifts. The Allmaker is solely worshipped in Solstheim by the native Nords, as all the other Nords are mostly followers of the common pantheon. He bestowed 6 mystical stones on Solstheim that would keep his presence and blessings in the land. These are the Tree Stone, Sunstone, Beast Stone, Wind Stone, Earth Stone, and Water Stone. These stones give various gifts to those who meditate to them, a blessing or an ability of sort that can only be used one time, then one should meditate again to gain it. I have changed from the Allmaker Stone powers, but they're still in the same category. They are about like the Beast Stone that conjures bears can be turned to animal allegiance, for example. If one analyzes these gifts, one can gain an understanding that they have some representation to some Edra and Deidre, like Akatosh and Herson. It gave me have an idea of what is the real aspect of the Allmaker may really be, but that's a discussion for another time. Right now, we rode our flame horse Atronax and headed to the Skull Village. Chapter 222, A New Possibility. The Skull Village was just to the north. Taking the way there required us to have some good men to accompany us, as the road, was filled with all sort of beasts Solstheim has to offer. The first thing we came across was a swarm of ash hoppers. Pesky creatures were really large and made a strong scent every time I burned one of them. What made the problem go away was Alina in a weird way. We spotted a strange spriggan that is known as the burnt spriggan. Spriggans are tree spirits that take the form of female humanoids, and this one was a variant of the normal spriggans found around the tundra of Skyrim. This one had a burnt wood scent and appearance. Alina stepped forward and told everyone to stay behind as she approached the burnt spriggan alone. Joel was worried over Alina and kept her crossbow at hand. When Alina approached the spriggan, she started talking to it in a language I didn't really understand, but I knew what it was right away. With her title as the daughter of Kind Alina, at least should have these powers to talk in the spriggan tongue, a language that can be used to commune with animals and calm them. Just as she exchanged a few words with the burnt spriggan, it walked into a tree, and Alina turned around with some heavy expressions. Did something happen? Nah, it is just that poor child. It has lost some of its sense when it became like that. Alina said, "Oh, so what did you talk with it about? It will clear our road of any animals and guide us to the skull." She said, "You are a wonder girl." Joel patted Alina to comfort her a bit. "Indeed, it is amazing. I was always afraid of those spriggans when I was young, but now I can just ask sister-in-law to deal with them. That old fool won't have to beat me up again." Wolfer said, as he remembered a memory we both shared. "Old fool, what is that about?" Bjorna asked. "Back at Rift Inn, there was that old man that John spent time with, a worshipper of Kind who taught John how to hunt and fight after Aunt Hilda visited 7 years ago." Wolfer said, "Yeah, we once went on a hunt near Shorestone and stumbled upon a group of spriggan and a lot of wolves. Wolfer almost pissed himself and was about to harm a spriggan, but the old man talked to the spriggans like Alina and solved the situation. We got beaten mercilessly afterward." I continued the sad story. "I really want to meet him now. We can hear some embarrassing stories about your past." Alina said, "I'm going to spoil it for you here and now. They mostly end up with us beaten up or hanged on some tree." Wolfer said, "I think you spoiled the embarrassing part." I said, "Wait, wasn't that the fun part?" "No." Wolfer completely worsened our image in front of the girl, but whatever. The old man was a fanatic of Kind, but he is a kind person. I will have to pay him a visit with you guys one day. From that point onward, the road was cleared from the swarms of the ash hoppers. Alina was being guided by the spriggan in a way I didn't understand, but it seemed to be a telepathic link of a sort. The spriggans has the ability to control wild creatures and are really beautiful to look at. This is all due to them being associated with Kinnereth, the lesser aspect of Kind. From now on, the only headache in the road was the wild ash spawns. Along the way, when we left the ashlands to the snowlands, we stumbled upon some Nord hunters in winter gears. "Well met, kinsmen. Well met, travelers. Coming from Raven Rock, aren't you?" "We are indeed. And where are you seeking north?" "The village of the Skull. We are traders, as you can tell." The hunter looked at the carts that were being pulled by some horses and nodded. "I'll guide you there. Still, can you help me with a game?" "What's your game?" "A fierce stag over these trees. It needs some men to trap it, and I am short on men, but if you can help me." While the man was talking, Joel reloaded her crossbow and shot a bolt that carried a cold sensation toward the trees. Swoosh. Nia. A high-pitched shriek of death sounded from a beast behind the trees. The accuracy was simply crazy. "If you're ever short on men, seek out a girl. That's how things get done," she said and acted cool and mighty. The man looked at the trees and narrowed his eyes. One of his mates came a second later, shouting that the stag was killed. The man looked at Joel in awe. "This is a masterful shot. By the Allmaker, I have seen nothing like it." The man kept going up and down about Joel's shot until he calmed down and agreed to take us later to the village. "Thank you for your trip all the way here. We rarely get traders and are ever grateful for your visit." The chieftain of the Skull welcomed us in her great hall. "It is all right. My men here will oversee the transactions and will take more requests to make further trades. To be honest, We heard about the new traders arriving at Raven Rock, and we're about to send a small caravan for resupplying, but that is really a pleasant surprise. Remind me again, the Dare Dragon Group? Indeed. We are allies to the Sky Fire Trading Group, and I am a Fire Main descendant, but I tend to keep that knowledge a secret. Oh, I understand. The mainlanders tend to act strangely when they deal with the clans. It is true. The Sky Fire Company is the Fire Main's trading front and has a very well-known name. Chieftain Fanari's strong voice of the Skull welcomed us right away when we proved to be related to them. So, what is the purpose of you young ones coming all the way here? You must have something you're looking for. The one who asked us was Storn Cragstrider, the shaman of the Skull. It is indeed true. We are after the Stallrim in the mountains up north and wish to buy some from the Skull. We heard that by the laws of Solstheim, only the Skull has the right to mine in the north. I said right away. I didn't intend to hide it from them at all. Strange. The mainlanders were never interested in the Stallrim since 200 years ago. Is there any events on the mainland that requires it now? Chieftain Fanari wondered. What a sly question. Are they trying to bargain for the price? Not really. I was just looking for materials that can strengthen the frost enchantments, and my research led me to the Stallrim. I heard that it is as hard as ebony and as beautiful as glass. Now that's something I would love to see. I replied, it is indeed beautiful and sturdy. If that is what you want, then we will provide you with what you need. Still, it will take us 3 weeks to cover an equal amount of Stallrim to the supplies you brought. I don't mind. I have around the same time to stay in Solstheim anyway. In the meantime, I was interested touring the land and meeting the oddities of it. What piqued my interest the most is the famed stones of the Allmaker. I really would love to visit them and see if I could acquire a blessing. You wish to get a blessing? That's odd for an outlander. You believe in the Allmaker? The shaman asked me. I do have an understanding of the Allmaker and recognize the power he gives the land. The Allmaker is a mysterious deity revered as the wellspring of creation. The Allmaker could be a deity from the Atmarans or branched from the animal deities of the Atmarans that the Firemans still consider sacred. Either way, they share similarities with each other and derive from the ancient Nords. Reverence for the Allmaker is now nearly extinct except in the Skull Village, which preserved the ancient beliefs throughout the ages, and modern scholars have learned of the Allmaker through their eyes. All life flows from the Allmaker like a great river, and, in time, this river flows back to its source. The spirits of dead creatures return to the Allmaker, who shapes new life and returns it to Mundus. Death, then, is simply the beginning of the next stage of this endless journey. However, each life is a gift given in the great wisdom of the Allmaker. Thus, each one is very precious and sacred. Even the snow is viewed as a blessing for the shelter it can offer and for allowing hunters to track prey. The Allmaker favors those who hone their skills and disfavors the greedy and lazy. The 6 Allmaker stones of Solstheim are viewed as representations of the 6 aspects of nature, the 6 great gifts of the Allmaker: flora, fauna, the sun, the earth, water, and wind. The stones are believed to be conduits by which the Allmaker's power flows into the world. In opposition to the Allmaker is the adversary, an equally enigmatic opposing force which works to corrupt the dominion of the Allmaker. The Skull believe the adversary takes delight in tormenting and testing them. I said it once before that I know more about the Allmaker than what the Skull may tell. The Allmaker is another aspect of Anu, and the adversary is clearly Padme. From the myth creation of Lorcan and Oriel, it was mentioned that Oriel was created by Anuel, which is the spirit of Anu, or Anu the Everything, which is thought to be the quintessential form of stasis, the anthropomorphization of one of the 2 primal forces. The other is Padme, also called the Darkness, which is the quintessential form of change, the one whose spirit is Sithis that created Lorcan. If one looked closely at the 6 blessings that can be granted by the Allmaker, one can find the characteristics of the other Edra that got created after Oriel. These 6 blessings can be obtained from the 6 stones of the Allmaker, The only problem is that the powers that can only be used for one time and only can be acquired again by getting another blessing. I discussed my general knowledge about the All-Maker with Storn Crackstrider, the shaman, and didn't mention anything disrespectful like my own understanding of the All-Maker. If one wants to acquire a permanent blessing from the All-Maker, one must perform a pilgrimage to the 6 stones. The shaman gave me a pleasant surprise. A permanent blessing? Is that possible? I asked. It is. Do you know the difference between a blessing and an agent? Yes, blessings are mostly temporary while agents are a higher and a better form that is considered a sort of a divine protection. The only agents that appear in the game are the agents of Mara, Debella, and some other Daedra. This is possible to acquire by a pilgrimage to all the 6 stones. The shaman confirmed. This is truly marvelous. The possibilities if we acquired those agents are amazing. Honorable Storn, I am listening. Chapter 223, The Pilgrimage 1, Bitch Better Have My Shawarma. Hun KL Zohar. Zachary is summoned on. Hero Champion Legend Call of Valor Shout. We'll post an extra for his honor, as I will do from now on for every new patron. Sorry about yesterday, guys. I was doing a job application in Cairo, TT. Also, you guys ain't voting or commenting. 5,000 votes for extras, remember? Chop chop. The old shaman Storn Crackstrider is a major character in the Dragonborn DLC of the game. He is very knowledgeable about the All-Maker. Very knowledgeable to the point that some higher beings lust for his knowledge. What he told me about gaining a permanent blessing from the All-Maker was really interesting. I already have 2 permanent blessings, the Agent of Talos and the Agent of Kine, which both fortify my Thursdayam. The Agent of Kine empowers my Thursdayam, and the Agent of Talos make me recover the ability to shout another Thursdayam faster. I acquire them both at some time I'm not aware of, but mostly do my late actions of always wearing a powerful amulet of Talos and building a temple for Kine or something along those 2. The All-Maker, however, has a different set of rules to bless those who achieve the oneness with the nature. The oneness can be achieved by making a successful pilgrimage to the 6 stones of the All-Maker. This pilgrimage strengthens the presence of the All-Maker and grants 1 random blessing of the 6 blessings of the All-Maker to the pilgrim. It wasn't as unicorns and rainbows as I imagined when Shaman Storn started telling me a story of an old Skull hero who managed to restore the gifts of the All-Maker to the lands of the Skull years ago. His name is Ivar Stonesinger. In a time long ago, there was peace in the land. The sun was hot and the crops grew long, and the people were happy in the peace that the All-Maker provided. But the Skull grew complacent and lazy, and they took the lands and all the gifts the All-Maker had given them for granted. They forgot that the adversary is always watching and that he delights in tormenting the All-Maker and his people. And so it was that the adversary came to be among the Skull. The adversary has many aspects. He appears in the unholy beasts and the incurable plague. At the end of seasons, the Skull also know him as Thartag, the World Devourer, Alduin. But in these ages, he came to be known as the Greedy Man. The Greedy Man lived among the Skull for many months. Perhaps he was once just a man, but when the adversary entered into him, he became the Greedy Man, and that is how he is remembered. It came to be one day that the powers of the Skull left them. The strength left the arms of the warriors, and the shaman could no longer summon the beasts to their side. The elders thought that surely the All-Maker was displeased, and some suggested that the All-Maker had left them forever. It was then that the Greedy Man appeared to them and spoke. You, the Skull, have grown fat and lazy. I have stolen the gifts of your All-Maker. I have stolen the oceans, so you will forever know thirst. I have stolen the lands and the trees and the sun, so your crops will wither and die. I have stolen the beasts, so you will go hungry. And I have stolen the winds, so you will live without the spirit of the All-Maker. And until one of you can reclaim these gifts, the Skull will live in misery and despair. For I am the Greedy Man, and that is my nature. And the Greedy Man disappeared. The members of the Skull spoke for many days and nights. They knew that one of them must retrieve the gifts of the All-Maker, but they could not decide who it should be. "I cannot go," said the elder, "for I must stay to lead the skull, and tell our people what is the law." "I cannot go," said the warrior, "for I must protect the skull. My sword will be needed in case the greedy man reappears." "I cannot go," said the shaman, "for the people need my wisdom. I must read the portents and offer my knowledge." It was then that a young man called Ivar lifted his voice. He was strong of arm and fleet of foot, though he was not yet a warrior of the skull. "I will go," said Ivar, and the skull laughed. "Hear me out," the boy continued. "I am not yet a warrior, so my sword will not be needed. I cannot read the portents, so the people will not seek my counsel. And I am young, and not yet wise in the ways of the law. I will retrieve the gifts of the All-Maker from the greedy man. If I cannot, I will not be missed." The skull thought on this briefly and decided to let Ivar go. He left the village the next morning to retrieve the gifts. Ivar Stonesinger was set to retrieve the gifts and was aided by the All-Maker. He performed the pilgrimage to the 6 stones of the All-Maker successfully and saved his people. From that day on, the skull upkeep the tradition and encourage their young warriors and hunters to go through it. In another meaning, it is the clan's coming-of-age test. So, it can be performed in not a ceremonial way and at any time of the year. I made a speculation. Indeed, the young Ivar Stonesinger was only guided by the All-Maker with no ceremony whatsoever. Whoever intends on doing the pilgrimage will be guided too. Shaman Storn replied, "What about being an outsider? Outsiders are always welcome here as long as they don't corrupt the land of the All-Maker like how the Imperials did 200 years ago." "Oh, I know that story." "You do?" "Yes, during the blood moon of the Daedric Prince Herson, the Skaal were being attacked by the Were creatures, and the Imperials from Raven Rock caused a lot of disturbance. It was the Nerevarine who saved the Skaal by doing 3 rituals or something along those lines. So you're knowledgeable about such a thing. That is indeed a true story that not all Skaal know." Shaman Storn confirmed my words. I was being looked at in a new light when I talked with the shaman about the All-Maker and the history unknown to some. Of course, playing some Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind helped grandly. I was also told that it is advised to take a number of 6 people on the pilgrimage at minimum, so that all the blessings can be distributed as the Skaal descendants do it. They go in one group to lessen the danger, but only 6 of them get the blessings, and later come to be the shamans, the warrior commanders, the chiefs, and all that. In the end, a feast was thrown, and a small drinking party was held as the traders are really appreciated around these parts. Now, both the Skaal and Raven Rock will see me, the Dare Dragon Company, as their exclusive trading partner as long as I make more bonds with them. This pilgrimage will smoothen the business in the future and may add to my power if it went the right way. After all was said and done, we were showed to the guest rooms in the Great Hall of the Skaal. It was a quiet night in a place that felt Nordic enough rather than the alien nature of Raven Rock. We woke up earlier than usual the next day, as it seems that the Skaal start the day by dawn. I forced everyone up as soon as possible and even made Nefertiti go into human form. The duty of guiding you around the stones of the All-Maker. Free Daughter of Storn met us with 2 Skaal boys. I thank you in advance and apologize for the trouble. We got ready and left with Free right away. The stones of the All-Maker are 6: the Water Stone, the Earth Stone, the Beast Stone, the Tree Stone, the Sun Stone, and the Wind Stone. According to the story of Ivar Stonesinger, the first stone he was guided to by the All-Maker was the Water Stone, far north of Raven Rock, along the coast. Free acted as our guide as we headed back to Raven Rock. The road was peaceful with the help of Alina's new Spriggan friend that kept protecting us through the trees. If one concentrated the detection magic on the flora around, one can sense some traces of the Spriggan. The walk didn't take long, and we arrived to Raven Rock at the afternoon. Free and the Skaal boys went to the market to arrange sewn shipments for their clan, then continued to the north with us. To the north, the road was unmanned and narrow. It started going up to a snowy hill after some time. After 2 hours of walking, we finally stumbled on some trouble. Reekling! The 2 Skaal boys shouted and readied their weapons. To their shouts, a funny thing emerged from the snow. What the boys called a reekling was a small, goblin-like creature with a pale blue skin, wearing fur and holding a short spear. One can simply think of them as snow goblins. Jaiur. That reekling saw us and started making strange sounds and screams. Soon after, a swarm of these creatures appeared. Find cover. They will throw the spears. Free shouted and hid behind a rock. We followed her silently and hid behind cover. They are too much, these pesky creatures. We need to shoot back at them. Free said, forget it. Their number is big. We need to go back. One of her followers shouted. It seemed that they got overwhelmed easily. Alina, how many? 47. Good. Whoever have the least kills will treat the others. I said, hey, you still owe me chicken shawarma with tahini and pickles. Jelliner remembered something I was trying to shake away. We'll go on 3-3. I cast bound armor and cover myself with a full body armor suit, then cast bound bow and started shooting an arrow after the other. Gertie, Joel was infuriated and jumped off her cover, aiming her crossbow at anything that walks. Not losing, Wolfer charged out his cover with Jorna, both carrying big weapons and shields. Nefertiti, let's leave these idiots alone. Alina took Nefertiti to the side to have a fluffy time together. I ignored all the small spears that were thrown at me by the bound armor and kept putting down the reeklings with the bound bow. My archery skill became a bit rusty, but I sure did fine. Wolf and Jorna charged together and fought back to back, attracting a big number of the reeklings. Jelliner, on the other hand, was going full-on Rambo mode and started shooting every reekling in sight. She ran forward as she was shooting, and once she got cornered, she switched to the spears of the reeklings and started sticking them in their skulls. Cool. A loud cry came from the beach side. 10 reekling appeared riding on boars. These are the reekling riders and their bristleback boars. They saw us and charged towards our direction. Jorna and Wolfer were getting ready to block the chargers, but a figure bypassed them like a bolt of lightning. This was Joel. Hey, be careful. She ran toward the riders alone and jumped at one of them, sending one away with a flying kick. She used the reekling as a foothold and jumped at the other, kicking it away. She kept throwing spears and weapons around, making a comical scene. The last reekling rider was kicked on the ground with a spear on its chest. Jelliner snorted as she dusted her hands off and picked up her crossbow. She aimed it at me and shot a bolt. I was standing still, and the bolt bypassed me. It hit a reekling that was feigning death behind me. It died with a high-pitched shriek. She walked towards me with a solemn face and stood a few steps away. Alina, the score? She asked. John got 18, Jorna and Wolfer got 22. Wait, why are they combined together? I asked. We are a team. They said. The nerve. Jelliner got 17 reekling and 10 bristlebacks. Total of 27. Come on, you counted the boars. They clearly planned this one. Jelliner smiled as got closer to me and whispered, Bitch better have my shawarma. Chapter 224, The Pilgrimage to Jorna and the Swimmer. This chapter comes to you by the good graces of Zachary. Phyin, all hail. Ouch, ouch. I am sorry, but me down. Joel was struggling as I kept carrying her from her ears. There is nothing more painful for an elf like being carried from their little pointy ears. Got your feelers hurt, babes? It is painful, damn it, she said as she was holding to my arms and lifting her body up. Oh, is who's bitch again? I'm Zoe. Sniff it is me. Congratulations for the reboot. I put her down. The Skull Boys and Freya came out long ago, but they were in their little conversation of counting the how many we killed or how awesome we are or something along those lines. Not really sure. What is important is that we were expecting them to say some words of admiration. Free talked to Alina, and Alina seemed to be handling the socializing as usual. Her charm is top-notch, and she always smiles at people, which makes her the best to talk to, rather than 3 hulklings, John, Jorna, Wolfer, and 1 crazy elf. This way, the water stone is close. We rallied up further behind Free, who led the way again. A minute and 100 steps later, we could see a giant stone pillar up on those hills. It was enveloped by a green aura of majesty, and as we got closer to it, we would feel its healing effect. Strangely, Alina and Jeliner paused first for some reason. That is some deja vu I got there. Me too, sister. Look at the size. It is almost the same. I know. They looked at the stone and then looked between my legs. What the? My expressions couldn't be kept straight anymore, and I glared at them to get back in line before anyone notices their weird action. Just because we used the aura when we slept together once to intensify things doesn't mean you should remember it with each large stone pillar that emits a green aura. Good grief. Anyway, we arrived on top of the hill, and then we got a closer look at the stone pillar. There was a small pool of water around it, and the place seemed peaceful and quiet. We should now meditate for the Allmaker. It is hard for outsiders to do it because of the lack of faith, but Father said you will all do just fine. First, you need to place your hands on the stone all one at a time and try to activate it fully. Who is going first? I will, Wolfer said. He said, and I nodded to him. I have spent some time with him explaining my theory of the Allmaker and all this, and that's so he was already good to go. He entered the pool of water, and it almost reached his knees. He then placed a hand on the stone and closed his eyes to get the feel of meditating. It wasn't hard for him as I hammered some of my magic theories into his brain when he was young, so it took him a minute until some green runes on the stone lit up from the bottom of the stone. That was fast. Free looked at Wolfer with admiration, and she smiled ear to ear. I noticed how she was looking at him since yesterday, but I am sure that this airhead didn't get a clue. Humph, I am next. Jorna walked past Free with a snort. Wolfer came back, and Jorna did as he did. It took her way more than him, but she did it in the end. She finished and came to Wolfer's side. Jeliner was the next to go, and she did it the same time as Jorna. She clearly doesn't have that much faith in any proclaimed god like me. Okay, Nefertiti, you're up. I put Nefertiti down in front of the pool. The girl, she is too young to understand the ritual. I am going to Free said in a worried tone. No, thank you. She'll do just fine. Ain't that right, girl? I looked at her and asked. MHM. Nefertiti turned serious and nodded right away. Such an adorable little thing. She looked at the stone with seriousness and stepped on the water. We could see a black veil of darkness covering her feet, and she calmly walked on water. This is... Free didn't imagine to something like that. Actually, no one did. Water walking magic, I said to cover any misunderstanding. This little rascal has developed a new shadow magic ability. Let's call it Shadow Step. She walked like that on the pool until she reached the stone and touched it with her tiny hands. And now what? I could hear her thoughts asking me what to do through the mystical bond we share. Just let your mind seep into the stone and think of a beautiful being of light that is on the other side of the stone. It was as simple as she can understand, that what I could only tell her. What happened afterwards was bizarre. The stone pillar shone right away, and another set of runes appeared above Wolf's and Jorna's. Allmaker. It took her just a second. What in the world? Is she blessed by the Allmaker? The Skull trio gasped right away. This was truly unexpected. I know cats are awesome, but this cat is breaking the records. She turned around and ran happily towards me. Sir John, your daughter is truly blessed. Free said something that made the five of us freeze. Daughter, huh? I looked at Nefertiti and carried her up on my arm. Yes, she is. I couldn't help but to confirm it. Our daughter. Alina stuck closer to Nefertiti and made the image look whole. The three of us looked at us and got our moment there. We indeed look like a family, except that who knows us know that we are both 17 and Nefertiti have the appearance of a 7-year-old kid. Okay, Alina, your turn, I said, and Alina walked towards the stone pillar in the pool. I looked at Nefertiti and whispered, in your human form, always call me Daddy, and Alina Mommy, call me Big Sis. Joel said, and us Uncle and Aunt. Wolf and Jorna also wanted to take a part in. While we were distributing the fluff, Alina stood at the pool and cast a spell to walk on the water. Her spell was unusual as the water under her feet froze. I love that she always do her own things with her child of the storm style. Frost and wind magics are really top-notch because of Kind's favor. She touched the water stone with her hands, and it didn't take her a second. Just like Nefertiti, the runes on the water stone were activated right away. Again, by the All-Maker, and she just did it. She was a bit surprised, but she acted in a calm manner anyway. My turn then. I handed Nefertiti to Alina and walked in the pool right away. I also touched the water stone, and its top runes glowed with no pause. The whole family is blessed. The Skull kids were not as surprised and came to a good conclusion. What now? I walked out of the pool and asked Free. Just give me a second to calm down. Phew. The pilgrims need to wait for the swimmer to follow it underwater with an empty water skin or a flask, then bring back the waters of life from the underwater cave the swimmer will guide to. You guys should decide which one of you will go for a swim. Please pick your best diver for the task. She said, Best diver? I looked at my people and questioned. We're Nords, so we swim a lot, but it is a bit hard to do so in Winterhold. I'll do it. Jorna said. Wait, it is not easy to. I wanted to warn her, but Alina stopped me. You may not know this, but Jorna was born on a boat. She is second only to Uncle Njord when it comes to diving. She is, well, I'm seeing her in a new light now. Fine, Jorna. You're up. We all were in agreement, and it seemed that Wolf was aware of Jorna's skill in water. What is the swimmer? Nefertiti asked something we failed to notice. Oh, sweetie, it is a holy beast sent by the All-Maker to help those who want to complete the trial of the water stone. Remember, harming the swimmer is a bad thing. Free said, Okay, we walked a few meters to the west, and then we arrived at the beach. Here you go, cousin. A water-breathing potion and some snowberry extract. You will never get cold underwater with my special extract. Thanks, cousin. Alina evoked a spell and aimed at Jorna. With this you will swim faster. She said, Thanks, Alina. Bjorn removed her boots and light armor and walked to the water with her clothes. She gulped the 2 potions I gave her, then waited. A few seconds later, some creature came out of the water. It is a Horker, a black Horker. Jelena was stunned with what she saw. Horkers are gray walruses with 3 tusks instead of 2. They're peaceful as long as no one goes into their territory. This is the swimmer. Please follow it underwater and never harm it. Okay, one last thing. Jorna was about to leave, but she turned around and grabbed Wolfer then. Okay, take it easy. I couldn't help but laugh. How bold of her. I could see her looking at Free for a second there, so she noticed too. Mark your territory, girl. Mark it all the way in, up and down, good John. System, take a pick. After the long kiss, she turned right away with a red face and walked stiffly in the water. The swimmer noticed her and turned towards the sea and dove in. She hurried up and jumped in the water too. Time passed, and Jorna was gone for almost 15 minutes. The potion I gave her can work up to an hour, so she should be just fine. However, Wolfer started to get worried. Alina, what do you see? Wolfer asked. She is swimming like a fish, but I can hardly see anything around her. Scrying underwater is not easy. Alina was setting on the land, activating her mask that glowed red, and she started to scry for Jorna. Around a minute later, she gave us an update. She is coming. Jorna seemed to be swimming up and reached the sea surface as soon as she went out of the water cave. We could see her swimming this way when we used our auras to see further. She arrived at the beach and crawled on all 4. Her muscles were all stiff. Good job, Jorna, Alina said and cast a strong healing spell with Wolfer. Jorna stood right after it. Damn, that was hard, she complained. What happened down there? It was amazing. I went after the swimmer, and it led me to a strange cave underwater. In the cave, there was a space I could breathe in, and some undead skeletons that were punched right around easily. I found a water spring and took some in this water skin. Good job. You can now come and offer the waters of life to the water stone. I said. We all returned back to the water stone and offered the water. Jorna spilled the water on the stone pillar, and the light around it turned from green to blue with a healing sensation that enveloped all of us. I'm glad that the Allmaker has a sense for the light effects. Doesn't happen that often in Skyrim. Yeah, Alina and I joked about the healing light, but we were aware that this light of healing was too overpowered to be considered an ordinary healing magic. With this, the water trial is done. We can head south to the Earthstone now. Free announced the end of the first trial. Won't we get any blessing now? No, it is only after you finish the sixth one that when the Allmaker gives his gifts. Glad to know. We agreed to go back to Raven Rock and spend the night there. Chapter 225, The Pilgrimage 3, The Rituals of Earth and Beasts. Extra Chapter, every plus $10, Patron or PayPal. Extra Chapter, 5,000 votes. Extra Chapter, 8,000 votes. We'll publish an extra for Jack's raise. As we arrived at Raven Rock at night, we found it still bustling as a day. The reason was mostly the market that was filled with a lot of goods from the ones we brought with us and sold to House Reduran. People would do anything to get these fresh goods now. Avoiding all the focus points in the road, we went through the market area and arrived at the manor house Reduran gave to us for staying as we all decided to spend the night in town. The next Allmaker stone we are visiting tomorrow is the Earthstone, and it is just right in the corner outside Raven Rock, so there is no harm to recover today. The reason we're going through the stones in that fashion is that we have to do the pilgrimage the same way Ivar Stonesinger did. He went to the Water Stone first, then the Earth Stone, the Bee Stone, the Tree Stone, the Sunstone, and lastly the Windstone. Still, we can't do the pilgrimage on empty bellies. Everyone, come pick up a seat. I invited all the people we have in the manor right now to the large dining table in the hall. From the kitchen, I came carrying a few dishes with strong aromas, followed by Wolfer, who was helping me with cooking. Still, can you imagine it? Girls nowadays laze around, and boys do all the cooking. TSK, TSK. I am disappointed. Anyway, the smell of the food made everyone come out of their dwellings like hungry wolves. Even the Skull Trio were looking at the food while holding their breath. Hold your drool. Everyone, we still need to make introductions. This is chicken brochettes, this is mint and cumin spiced lamb chops, and in that dish is my version of the hawashi, which is a spiced mammoth burger and pita bread. That dish over there is Joel's favorite, the chicken shawarma. I always advise that you should eat all that with tahini sauce, mayonnaise, or ketchup. John, you have 1 second to shut up and let us eat or else. That was Alina. Okay, one must know when to retreat when his woman is about to get angry. Still, I made a lot of meat recipes that I can't really help, but feel sad not showing off my skills. I had a scenario in my mind where everyone listened to my explanation in awe, but I feel like I am serving some zombies now. Look at how they eating. God damn it. Oh, that was amazing. I ate like a pig. Jelena was patting her belly with satisfaction. Dishes around her were cleaned empty. Wolf and Jorna were having a lovey-dovey meal together and took their favorite plates to the side alone. The Skull Trio were consumed into the shish tauk and the Persian rice. Nefertiti was politely eating the simple horker stew, which was right to her standards as a cat. The most mysterious one was Alina. No one saw her eat, but Joel made a fuss because the number of the empty plates around Alina has far surpassed her own. Now that I think about it, when did that happen? TSK. A bunch of ungrateful gluttons. I cussed in a low voice. Come on, John, you really did it this time. You have surpassed the previous record. Joel said with a bright smile. Sigh. Yes, cousin. Your cooking is as amazing as Uncle John Rat's. I don't think that is a compliment at all. John always cooks better than Headmistress Nerina back at the orphanage, because she can't cook anything decent. Yes, John is the secret gourmet of Winterhold. His plates can save lives. That was Alina. Oh, thank you, Alina. For some reason, only Alina knows what is the right thing to say. And I think she's right. If the whole world came together on one table of fried beef liver on the Alexandrian style and French fries, it will surely know peace. The next day, I woke up those lazy bums to get an early start. They sure ate a lot and became too lazy to move. Before we set off, one of Ongium's men came to inform me about the progress in Coldjorn Barrow excavation site. It seemed that they used the utility Frost Atronax spells that I provided them and dug to the entrance of the barrow. These Atronax can do a great job and all. Anyway, after everyone was ready, we walked north to the Earthstone outside Raven Rock. The Earthstone was not that different from the Waterstone in appearance feeling. It also had a pool of water around it and all. We activated the runes on the stone to issue the start to the Earth ritual. We now need to head north to the Cave of Hidden Music, Free said. We followed her silently, but I suggested we ride out flame Atronac horses that we didn't conjure at all to not make a scene around us. The Skull Trio liked the idea, even though the Atronacs are demonic beings of the Daedric Plains. We eventually arrived at the cave after going deep into the Ice and Fire Plains. Then we found a cave where Free led us. Its walls were filled with inscriptions on its walls that seemingly belonged to the skull. Outside the cave, we could occasionally hear a strange musical sound that came from inside with the cave's chilly air. We headed in with Wolfer on the lead, carrying the champion's cudgel and his tower's shield. Jelliner followed him to ensure that there were no traps he couldn't detect. The cave's rocks were black, and there were rocks hung from the ceiling and grew from the ground itself. The cave network was going up and down and was more complicated than what I ever thought it would be, but it was mostly empty. What came across first was a single Draugr, one of those infamous undead creatures that dwell in most of the Nordic ruins. Leave it to me. Wolf insisted to face the Draugrs on his own. He waved his heavy hammer with one hand, and it curved left and right, destroying the Draugr's limbs and skull. Wolfer was using his golden aura that could do a lot of harm to undead. It really suited him. As we reached the deepest part in the cave, Free said that we arrived at the Chamber of Song. It was a large space at the deepest point of the caves and where the music came from. We looked around and found a large structure made of stalagmites and stalactites that was the main source of the music. It produced it occasionally with a pattern. What should we do from now on? Wolfer asked. See those stones over there? If you strike them in the right order, you will produce music similar to that of the cave. It is what you need to do. Free said, until the music stops. Wolfer nodded and turned around to the stone. He held his hammer with two hands and struck the first stalagmite. It produced a sharp tone, just like the cave. Wolf struck the rest of the stalagmites, and they all made a different sound. I get the gist of it now. This is fun. Wolfer loves music. With a wide smile on his face, he started striking all the stalagmites in succession. The music grew louder and louder to the point that we all started covering our ears. Wolfer was so much in the zone, and the pattern changed and intensified more. John, my hammers. He called for me, asking for his tools in my ring. I took out two hammers made from Orcish metal. These were Wolf's two smithing hammers. I threw them at him, and he switched to them and started drumming on the stalagmites as if he was some sort of a pro drummer. The sound of the music started growing weaker after some time, and Wolfer resonated his drumming skillfully until it reached its end. Damn, bro, these moves were lit. Woo! I couldn't help but praise Wolf and high-five him. Drumming on stalagmites with hammers. I don't know which school of rock can handle that talent. This has taken awfully too long. Free said. What does that mean? We asked. Normally, it is some few strikes, and it is over. I'm not sure what that was, but certainly the earth felt something with the strikes and the prolonged the ritual. Free said with a lot of admiration towards Wolfer. It is decided then. Let's call it the Earth Rock School. We returned to the Earthstone outside Raven Rock and completed the Earth ritual. We then headed to the Beast Stone. The Beast Stone was located near the east side of Solstheim, south of the Skull Village, in the Felsad Coast region. We followed the east bank of Lake Fjölding, where we hunted one of the bull netches when we were drunk, and then we continued north. Shortly, we saw the spire of the stone pillar. We activated the ritual of beasts faster than before and listened to what Free had to say. The ritual of beasts may take a lot of time and not easy to complete. You should find a beast in distress and offer it help. I suggest that you all go to different directions around the stone and try to find any opportunity. We will wait for you here. Free said. I see. I nodded and signaled for my people to gather. We need to find something fast. Nefertiti, I am depending on you, I said as I removed Nefertiti's hat from her head. This hat was hiding her long black ears that moved a lot. Nefertiti nodded with firmness and started moving her ears around. This way, she pointed towards the south. Fine, lead the way. We all moved in one direction after Nefertiti and went down the hill from the snowlands to the ashland. Once we walked for almost 5 minutes, Nefertiti's expressions intensified and she transformed to the beast form right away. She then turned into a bolt of shadow and disappeared like a ghost. Damn, she is good. Wolfer, who is the slowest in the group, said with a pale face. Don't mind that now. Let's go after her. I feel her signal forward. I was a bit worried and ran as fast as I could to the south. Nefertiti rarely acted on her own and was mostly not concerned with anything. But when she does become concerned, it is mostly because of something that she is annoyed with. After 10 minutes of running, I saw some hunters running away from one direction while carrying some claw-like wounds. Before they could get away, I teleported in front of one of them. Speak. What is going on? Move aside. Move. I didn't want him to run away, so I caught him with telekinesis and held him in the air. Speak, or I will send you back. Damn it. You are a mage. Go deal with it. A black beast is going to kill us. I see. It seems that Nefertiti attacks some hunters. Was she trying to save an animal? It wasn't far from the truth anyway. When I arrived at the hunter's camp, I found Nefertiti destroying a cage with her claws. In the cage, there was a small bear cub. Hey girl, why all the fuss? I ran towards her, but she seemed upset and didn't reply. Here, let me try. I moved her paws aside and broke the cage easily. Come out. I tried to take the small guy out, but it was a bit scared. Move. Nefertiti turned into the human form again and pulled the bear cub outside of the cage. It came out with her effortlessly. Didn't I tell you to not attack humans before telling me? They were bullying him. She replied. Oh, it was like that. Nefertiti had a similar experience. I saved her while she was taken by some college students to use her for shooting practice. We are together ever since. The others managed to find us after some time, and Jorna said that she can track the little cub's mother easily. With this, we could return the little bear to his mother. Jorna could talk the mother out of attacking us easily. With that, we returned to the beast stone and attempted to finish the ritual of beasts. Chapter 226, The Pilgrimage for Opportunity. This extra chapter comes to you by the good graces of Jack. Extra chapter, every plus $10 patron or PayPal. Extra chapter, 5,000 votes. Extra chapter, 8,000 votes. With that, the ritual of beasts is complete. Free announced. That was faster than what I expected. Alina said she healed a small bird on the way, but I guess Nefertiti is the one who mostly finished this trial. Good job. I patted her back, yet she was still depressed. At those times, she prefers to keep it to her own until her mood improves on its own. Nefertiti's thoughts started to change a lot lately, and she is as smart as a young teenager now. She can read my thoughts and do many smart things. Still, I feel like she has passed the threshold of being just a cat long ago. She is evolving and having her own personality grow further and further, and with the magicka I provide to her, she became stronger and stronger. Her lifespan should surpass her race members greatly. But as I said, let's keep her own matters for her in the time being. She would tell me if she really feels she can't get through anything on her own. After the completion of the ritual of beasts, Free said that this one will be the ritual of tree, and here where things get interesting for me. The stone of tree is no ordinary stone, and the place it is in is no ordinary place. How far is the tree stone? I asked. It is really close, just a short ride to the northwest. It is clearly where I remembered it was. So, tell me about the tree stone, Is there any special place around it? I asked. Free looked at me with a questioning face. She didn't understand at all. I'm asking about the stone's location. How does it look like? It is just a normal area, the same stone as all of the Allmaker stones. The only difference between them is the runes on their bodies. The tree stone is on that hill in a lush area. Lush area? I was having my own thoughts about the matter. The tree stone was on the center of the Temple of Mirek, and it was the core stone that Mirek tried to steal the power of the Allmaker with, but that hasn't happened yet. I'm a few years too early. I had to wait and inspect the place for myself once I arrived there. We took the road leading up the hill, but it wasn't how I remembered it from the game. This area should have a lot of dragon remains left and right, but it seems that these remains were sealed under the land. Until we later arrived at the top of the hill, I finally got the enlightenment. The Temple of Mirek had no single trace in this area. The only thing that we met was the lush area with many trees and the incredible density of magicka around the tree stone. The place looked like a grove similar to that of the Elder Gleam Sanctuary. So all this will be destroyed by Mirek, huh? TSK. Such a waste. Mirek is the main antagonist of the Dragonborn DLC, but it is still not the time to worry about him. How will this trial go? I asked Free. It is actually the easiest one. After you activate the runes on the stone, you will take those seeds to plant them in the area. Free said, and show me some seeds she was carrying. Seeds? This is all there is to it. These seeds are the seeds of the first tree. The shaman of the skull gets them only from the Spriggan matrons, so it is we only brought this much. I understand. It seems that these things are precious. Don't worry about it. Performing the pilgrimage is important to the skull, even if it is more than once a year. Even if an outsider did it, the lands of the skull will be blessed anyway, and we will grow healthier and stronger. All for the good then. The skull are really good people, and I would love to ally myself with them even more. Anyway, it was my turn to activate the runes. After it was done, I returned and started looking for a place to plant the seeds in. Free, look at that. One of the skull boys called for Free. She went and looked at what he was pointing at, then her expressions became a bit sorrowful. What is it, Free? Alina asked. Sigh. Since the Red Year, the eruption of the Red Mountain harmed half of the life on Solstheim and made the other half sick. Some of the trees around this grove are very old, and now they're getting harmed by the ash. Free started pointing at some trees that had some of their branches and parts of their trunks died. Is there no way to fix it? I asked. Is there a way to bring back the dead? She replied. This is indeed sad. According to Free, some of these trees are hundreds of years old, and they should be taken down to no infect the other trees. Can't the Spriggans heal the trees? I asked. The Spriggans in Solstheim are rare, and they are some of the few servants of the Allmaker left after the land was ravaged in the Red Year. We intend to keep them safe until their numbers are good enough to survive in the lands. She said, I see. Alina, didn't we meet that burnt Spriggan some time ago? Can't it help? Before she could reply, Free interrupted. The burnt Spriggans are as sick as those trees. They can't do anything to help anymore. Is that so? Well, I will just need to try something out first. I had Alina to call the burnt Spriggan that was following her since yesterday. It took it a while to come into the grove and stand before Alina. Let me inspect it for a second. I had Alina to keep it still while I go through the Spriggan's body with some detection magic. It was identical to the normal Spriggans with fiery energy raging through its body. It had the same branch-like limbs and the long claws on its hands with the iconic humanoid face of the Spriggans. It didn't carry any hint of nature at all. It was fascinating how could such a creature made of wood adapt to its opposite nature, which is fire. I inspected again and again with the best scanning technique I have and came to a conclusion. This Spriggan, I think I can fix it. Huh? Well, I said something absurd after all. I think I can fix it. How? Alina asked. As you can feel, this place is abundant with magicka, but a mystic should know that there are tons of energies that come from the heaven and earth other than magicka. The vital essence that is used when performing the Thursday for example. The spirit energy that is associated with the aura arts, and the life force that goes through all living things. I can feel that this place is very dense with all those energies, maybe a little inferior to the Elder Gleam's sanctuary, but is all here. I can try to use some of the power around to fix Groot over here. They all turned silent, but Alina spoke right away. Do it. It is for the better. But do you understand what caused it to be in burnt Spriggon from the start? I'm making a guess. Even though it adapted, Groot here took a form of energy it shouldn't have taken, and it mutated Groot in a sort. I need to set the balance back into its body. The Spriggans are lesser spirits, and their power are in their cores, or taproots. I will direct the energy it needs to it and absorb the other one. Absorb? Yes. I know how to do it, and it is not risky. On the contrary, it is much safer for me to absorb it than the energy of nature. But in the meanwhile, I need you and Joel to do something for me. What? Remember the red scrolls I gave for the two of you and told you two to study it? Alina furrowed her brows, and Joel asked, Didn't you say that is your most important achievement to date? Yes. Now I want you two to unseal them and take a far corner and follow the steps written in them. If you fail, it wouldn't be a problem, but the three of us will miss a very important opportunity. The two followed my commands and went to the side. John, what exactly are you doing? Wolfer asked. Guess it on your own, but I have found something interesting inside Groot over here. Can't we just finish the ritual first and do whatever that is later? What would you choose? Reforge an old blade back to shape, or just patch it with some metal? Reforge it, of course. I am reforging the problem here. Now listen, I want you to watch over everything while I am busy. Jorna, I want you to stay with Nefertiti for a while. Fine. Got it. Free. I am asking you to take care of the Spriggan once I am done with healing it. You are a shaman, so you can talk to them, right? I am. I'm still an apprentice. You will do just fine. Just keep calming the Spriggan with magic for now. Fine. This opportunity one got is priceless. I should make the most of it. I focus my attention on the Spriggan and cast Bind. It is a spell that I rarely use, but it can trap the target in its place and prevent it from moving. An alteration spell that is just like the illusion spell Paralyze. Anyway, I sat in front of the Spriggan and aimed my hands to its core. I looked left and right to take note of everything before I go full focus. Nefertiti and Jorna are fine. Wolfer is ordering the two Skull boys around to secure the place. Free is calming the Spriggan with soothing words of its language. Alina and Jeliner started their first cultivation close to the center of the grove. All in place. Okay, here we go. On the fingertips of my left hand, a golden white energy started to come out. It was very pure, but carried a hint of chilliness and seemed not so balanced, but that was the gist of it. This is part of the energy I absorbed back when I visited the Elder Gleam Sanctuary for the first time, the same energy that caused me the state of astral damage. That energy went out of my fingertips and slowly invaded the inside of the Spriggan, targeting its taproot. The Spriggan that was mostly quiet made a pain sound and started to fight back. I am sorry, Groot, but this will be all okay in a second. My right hand was guiding the golden white energy coming out of the left to the center of the taproot. Once I could feel it, I directed the energy to attack and refine it. This process would kick away the foreign energy. But I didn't want it kicked out, I wanted it into me. So with my right hand, I started absorbing that wild energy from the taproot of the Spriggan, and it started emerging as hot energy with a red hint to it. It was very hard and wild to take it, but I didn't falter and started trapping it inside my body as fast as possible. The process took almost 10 minutes, but I felt so drained and tired like never before, but I was about to get done now. Still, that red energy was wilder than I thought. I know it is a hard energy, but it is very lively, and I didn't think it would be this naughty. Finally, with the last bit of the hard energy coming out, I trapped it between my palm, and it was trying to escape away as much as it could. At that time, a voice talked to me. Impossible. You managed to grab that amount this fast? Shadow, you bastard. You are the one who kept insinuating me from the start. What made you think I wouldn't dare to accept such a challenge? Apologies. But you are too weak to hold that much power. You can't even handle the power of a tiny heartstone. This may be good if you're stronger, but right now you will harm yourself and others. You know what? I like it that you can't read my mind unlike the augur. You're the one who told him to keep me out. He also doesn't listen to me at all. Yeah, he has a good antivirus system. Virus? How mean. Still, I'm interested in what reckless thing you are going to do. My money is on you causing yourself another astral damage. I stood up, ignoring the voice in my head, and looked at the sprig John that collapsed with the fire on it dimming out. Free, use healing and calm on it. Wolfer, make sure to keep Free safe. They nodded and retreated away from the red energy that I was trapping my hands. I walked away and went closer to Alina and Jeliner, then sat in front of them. They were focused and seemed to be going through the training the right way. Now, it is time for all of us to be stronger. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.